Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of art. It's the Tenant Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson, coming to you from the 40 West Arts District in Lakewood, Colorado, and joining me from his studio on the Road of Enchantment. You know him as quite possibly the most interesting man in the world, my partner and friend, Wes Brown.
Oh my God, Todd, it's another week. Holy smokes, we're back again. Third time. We took last week off. And before that, we took a couple weeks off. And before that, we took a couple weeks off. But we're back again for the third time. Can't believe we're here. I'm so excited.
We're just stuttering along to the end of 2023. But hopefully we'll deep dive into that pool in 2024.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm just like, I'll be glad when 2023 is over. It just seems like it's been the last part of this year has been a little bit challenging for all of us.
I concur. It's been a weird year.
Yeah. Personally and for the world. So,
well, it's only getting weirder. So yeah. I don't know if that's going to change.
I have no illusions that 2024 is going to be rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. But, I'm just be glad when 2023 is over. Kind of like glad when 2020 was over.
You're ready to kick that door closed.
That's right. Just slam her closed hard and start fresh. Take a deep breath, close my eyes, and dive into 2024.
Just like throw that Molotov cocktail into the house there.
Burn that bitch down, as they say.
Yep. Walk away. I'm all right with that.
All right. Ooh, that kind of took a weird turn. But I am excited to be here. All being said.
You got your Christmas shopping done?
Oh, you know us. We don't buy gifts for each other. That's not necessarily true. Usually, like we'll buy gifts for my granddaughter who's 11. You've heard her on the podcast do an intro for before. And usually she gets the Christmas gift in like June. So, but she's been spending more time here. So I got a feeling I'll see her hopefully during the Christmas break. But yeah, so do I have, no. Have I started? No. I mean, I just like, what do you want? Go get it, wrap it up. I told my wife that, like, go get it, wrap it up. Oh, she bought some new boots. I said, just wrap them up, put a bow on it. And, I've just built a shed. I'm going to put a big ass bow on it. That's my Christmas gift, my birthday gift. And so I'm going to put a bow on it. I should probably go get a big bow because it's a big shed. And that'll be my Christmas gift to myself and from everybody to me.
What are you going to put in your shed?
Bunch of crap from my dad's house, dad's garage.
So it's an
lawnmower, a tiller.
Storage unit?
What?
It's an expensive storage unit is what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, it's not as well. Let me see. Oh, that's a good, I should have done the math. Like how many months of storage at the storage unit could I've gotten for the amount of money I spent building this big thing? And I haven't added up. My friend asked me that, how much did this cost us? Like he's using it, but he helped build it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm sure $3,000, $5,000, probably cheaper than you could buy one anyway. But it's built. Yeah. It's a 10 by 12 and it's a big monster in my backyard. Looks nice though. I got to paint it this weekend.
You have to send me pictures, man.
I will. I'll send you pics. I'm going to finish painting it this weekend and we should be good to go. But that's my Christmas gift from all of you to me. So thank you everybody for getting me the shed. Could have said money.
People are kicking you money?
No,
this podcast?
He's giving me money. It's just that I feel like the universe has given me a gift. And so I'm giving everybody, all our listeners,
money on the side.
All our listeners are, giving me positive vibes about my big shed. And if I didn't have this cool bunker to do the podcast, I'd do it in there. That would be the new tenant studio, but I got a pretty nice bunker downstairs. So yeah, who knows? That might be my man shed, my he shed.
I see you sleeping in there at some point.
I think this summer I'm going to break it in, throw a hammock in there, some candles.
I can picture it all ready.
Hey, we
That's
could
probably
do.
where I get to stay when I come up now, right?
No, you get the basement because it's nice.
Okay.
Yeah, but we could do a sleepover in there. Maybe we could do a live event. We'll have like an artist come in and sit in the shed with us.
Now that's an interesting concept. All right, we'll table that one. And
Maybe our guest tonight will be back on, and she can come to the shed, and we'll do a second episode there with her. We'll
yeah,
see if
maybe she wants
how
a
she
road
feels
trip
about
to
that.
South Dakota.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. You
Let's
ready?
kick this off. Let's do some art.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk art.
Let's talk art.
Do whatever.
Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can always find out what we're up to via our social media on Instagram at Tenant Podcast, our Tenant Podcast Facebook page, and of course, our website, tenantpodcast.com. This week, we have a wonderful artist for you. She's been on our radar for a while now, and she is a lovely human being. You can check out her stunning work at our website, lyndybush.com, and Lyndy is Lyndy. And you can follow her on Instagram at LyndyBush_art. Lyndy, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Lyndy, every time I think of you, I just say, why? Double why in Lyndy. That's awesome. I'm just kidding.
No, that's what
that's
I have
an
to start
interesting
with every
spelling.
time. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's what I have to start with every time. It's Lyndy, 2 ways.
Yeah, I love it. That's good. And the last name Bush, we've talked a little bit about that. Maybe related to the Bushes way back in history.
Potentially. Everyone has an aunt or uncle that says they're related to someone famous. Mine say the Bush family. So
yeah. She thought she was German, but found out she's English. Just like me.
No German whatsoever. Yep.
I love that when that happens. Thanks for giving that tidbit prior to the show coming on. That was interesting discussion. So where you at? Where are you at right now?
Right
City.
now, I'm in Highlands Ranch, so just south of Denver, about 30 minutes away from all the action.
Highlands Ranch is a nice area. It's kind of a bedroom community. Of course you got, the big mall right by, you're pretty close to the big, what's the name of that mall again?
Park Meadows.
Park Meadows. That's right. I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I come from southern New Mexico. So when we were planning on moving, we had our options and we looked at schools because we have our kids and whatnot. But I think the suburbs are less of a culture shock than the city.
Yeah.
So we went with the suburbs because it wasn't as drastic. I do have stories about that though. And I didn't realize the suburbs, I didn't realize they existed to the extent that they do. I only saw them in movies. So we first moved here, sight unseen. We just drove up and lived here the next day. It felt like Edward Scissorhands. You know how like everyone's pulling out at the same time and all the moms are going for like a walk before school. And it was a weird feeling. But I think that was still less of a culture shock than the city. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. The big city for sure. And you in a small town in New Mexico?
I mean, Las Cruces. It's the second biggest city in New Mexico, but that doesn't mean much.
And you're right on the border. Like you're literally right on the border of Mexico.
Yep. You can get to Juarez in about 45 minutes.
Wow. How was that experience? Coming from somebody from South Dakota that reads all the headlines about immigration and all that. What was it like growing up right as a border town when you were growing up?
I might age myself because by the time I got to college and I was old enough to drink, the border shut down because they were too dangerous. But when I was a kid, they were still open, and we had plenty of times when we would jump that border and go down to Juarez to go party.
Man, I bet you that was fun.
It really was, and you were very young, and it was very dangerous, probably, but it was safe enough.
Right.
Shortly after that, though, it wasn't. They ended up closing down all those clubs because they got so dangerous that wasn't even safe. So.
Yeah, it's probably even worse now.
I think it's actually a little better than it was then. It got really bad for a period of time, and then I think it kind of settled down with the cartels and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, well, that's interesting. So I have never been that far south. I've been to, is Pi in Arizona or New Mexico?
I actually think it's in Arizona, but I have no backing on that. Those cities
have
are
you ever
all
heard about Pi? It's a little town.
I haven't heard about Pi, yeah.
So they're open all the time, right? I took my mom and we were driving down there and I'm like, I want to go to Pi because I seen something on TV about it and showed up and they were closed for Christmas. And I was like, and it wasn't even Christmas, but they were closed for like a week. I'm like, damn it. Now I got to go back to Pi. And our buddy Todd here, he's a huge fan of New Mexico. What's that town in New Mexico you love?
Silver City is
There you
is
go.
a fantastic town. I spent some time there and I really enjoyed myself. But I just love New Mexico.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, New Mexico,
Yeah.
man, parts of Albuquerque, Santa Fe.
Yeah. Santa Fe's wonderful. Taos is beautiful.
I spent
Yeah.
like 4 hours in Las Cruces
Oh
doing
yeah.
a portrait. That's my
Really?
experience in Las Cruces. Yeah. But it looks like an interesting town. The surrounding area looks like it's pretty.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, that's what I miss. Most of my art is looking back at that stuff now. I mean, I miss how beautiful it is.
Yeah. Now you pretty close to Carlsbad Caverns?
I was born in Carlsbad. So I
Oh.
grew up there until I was about 3, and then we moved to Cruces. But I think it's about 3-hour drive
Oh, it's
from Cruces.
okay. I have no like in my New Mexico map in my head, I have no idea, but I know we mentioned Carlsbad earlier before we got on the podcast, and so I was just kind of curious if it was close. But
It's a few hours, but yeah, I was actually born there, so
oh wow.
I know
So
that.
another fun New Mexico tidbit that turned out not to be New Mexico, but turned out to be Utah. My wife and I, we had a long weekend. We lived in Littleton, neighbors with Todd, and we were deciding where do we go, like Roswell, New Mexico, and see all the UFO stuff, or do some family research in Salt Lake City. I opted for family research, and I don't know if that was the smartest move because now I still haven't been to
If you're
Roswell.
going somewhere and it's maybe 30 minutes out of your way, it's worth it.
And White Sands, that's another place I want to go.
Oh,
And then
White
we
Sands.
can move on. It looks
No, White
beautiful.
Sands is beautiful. I
Is
love
it?
White Sands. They also do this fun thing. Like I grew up there. It's about 20 minutes from Cruces.
Oh, wow.
So you just go over the Oregon Mountains and it's right on the other side. So growing up, if you can imagine, there's not many places to go as a kid for field trips. Like here in Colorado, it's like you can go to a field trip anywhere. There's all these cool places. But there you really either went to El Paso to the Science Museum or White Sands. So you ended up going to White Sands at least once a year for school. And then during the summer, you would go to White Sands because it's a national park. So you get to go and just play in the white sand and stuff. Spent a lot of time there as a kid, but they also do these things called moon glows. And on the full moon, and this is when I would go, this is what I'm saying is you need to go then. On the full moon, they'll open it up in the summer and you go at night in the middle of the night and it looks like daylight because the moon reflects off of the sand and it's just like daylight.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Moon glow.
That sounds amazing.
It does.
I think we need to road trip. Well,
I
I've never
see a
been
road
there
trip.
either.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when the stars align and the moon is full, we'll do a road trip down there.
You
Is that a
should.
Jackson Brown song?
That could be a Jackson Brown song, right?
Full circle.
Now, is your family originally from New Mexico or are they transplants from somewhere else?
Well, I guess I'm a bit of a mutt. So I believe a portion of my family is originally from there in some sort of probably a smaller sliver. Maybe
So
about
when you say a
20%.
portion, are you talking about old school Mexico, New Mexico? Or-
I'm talking about the border moved around them
Oh, okay.
type
Gotcha.
of like just
Right.
native.
Sure.
I have like probably about like 20% native. My mom, I think, is like
Wow.
around 60% native. And we
Really?
don't know where from. We have no documentation about it. The
Right.
Borderlands are a little free for all down there with all the intermingling. So I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but there's some native in there. And then my grandpa, I think, moved down sometime for some war somewhere and then ended up being a rancher down there. He used to run cattle and have a ranch in it's Monticello and Cachillo, New Mexico. It's right there next to Truth or Consequences.
Oh,
Super
wow.
tiny. You've probably never heard about it. But so they were living on a ranch out there.
So do you know like what time period you're talking?
Yeah, so that's my grandparents.
Oh, so we're probably talking like the 50s and 40s.
Probably about 20s, 30s, 40s, and
Oh,
then
okay.
they moved to the city, the city, I'm doing air quotes, to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. I think it was called Hot Springs at the time. They changed that a little bit later on for the popular TV show at the time. But so they moved to the city. They actually built a dam and it flooded the ranch. So they had to move to the city, and they got a house and had kids there, 8 kids total in a tiny little 2-bedroom house. It was a fun little thing.
So was he after Pancho Villa? Was he part of that group where U.S. Army going after Pancho Villa?
I'm not sure. I know World War II.
Okay.
He was in World War II, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
so
then,
that would have been later. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit later.
Sure. Okay. Cool. I just think it's fascinating. And the fact that he ranched down in New Mexico. I mean, like, we're talking Jesse James kind of stuff, maybe not that far back, but,
it's still a bit of the Wild West down there in its own ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. It's only about a generation and a half ago that it was really the Wild West. And mostly everyone I know that originates from that area, either their grandparents or great grandparents lived on a ranch somewhere. Like,
that's awesome.
Everyone's new to being in cities and whatnot.
That's awesome. I love it.
It's fun. But then my dad's from up here. He's from Colorado Springs and Manitou Springs. And then he moved down to Truth or Consequences right after high school. And that's when he met my mom. And so I'm kind of not a transplant fully here, if you count like being, what is that? Grandfathered in?
Yeah, most definitely. Sure. It's your dad. I mean, that's like that's my connection to Kansas too. My dad comes from Kansas. So yeah, I think
everyone's always talking crap about natives, or not natives, the transplants. Right. And I was like, I'm kind of grandfathered in native.
Yeah, I think you could probably even get the native Colorado plate. Maybe I'm gonna probably get burned on that one. Oof. Yeah,
well, that's too much. I'm not gonna go that far. Yeah.
Well, I think everybody in Colorado is pretty much in agreement that we like people from New Mexico. Yeah. Like, the New Mexicans are all right. They know how to drive. They can drive in adverse conditions. It's other places that maybe we don't care for.
Yeah, and I do feel a camaraderie with local Coloradans. I think we're very close, and we're also just living our Western lives down there and just a little bit more south.
Yeah. So when I lived in Colorado, it felt like home to me. And unfortunately, I didn't grow up there. I just went down there with my girlfriend at the time, my wife. And we lived there for 5-6 years. And then we moved back to South Dakota, which was a huge mistake. Ugh. But anyway, hey, I mean, I love South Dakota, but it's a great place to be from. So anyway,
Are you amazed when you talk to somebody here in Colorado? Maybe they were born here or they've lived the majority of their lives here and they've never been to New Mexico?
A little bit. I think I expected more people to. I mean, a lot of people know of New Mexico. I'm not saying this is a general thing, but there's a lot of people that don't. I think they only know Santa Fe or maybe Taos, and they've been once or twice in their lives or heard about it. But we're neighbors. I feel like they should know a little bit more about the state that's directly underneath them.
I agree.
Yeah. I guess maybe I've also ignored it, but there's also some comments, like they don't understand what New Mexico is. Colorado's not as bad. A lot of other states get it wrong a lot worse. Like, oh, do you have to have a passport to come here? And you're like, no, we are a state. But Colorado at least knows we're a state, I think, so we're good there.
Oh my God. Some people need to go back to school and take geography.
They didn't make it easy. I mean, no other state has another country's name in the middle of it. So
that's true.
For people that have never been to New Mexico, they're missing out, right?
I think so. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about where you grew up, Las Cruces, and what it's like to live there.
I have mixed feelings about it. We'll go with the good first. But I love it. It's beautiful. It's huge, open skies. mountains, but it's the tail end of the Rockies. So it's still part of the Rocky Mountain system. They're just a lot smaller by the time you get down there. Las Cruces is in a valley, so you have, mountains on both sides, and there's some agriculture, farming, a lot of green chili. I mean, the Hatch green chili. I know everyone in Colorado loves talking about green chili, but I grew up about 20 minutes from Hatch. I mean, you drive for 20 minutes and that's Hatch. So green chili on everything. That's just part of the culture. We also have Stauman Farms, which is this huge pecan orchard. I think it's the second largest pecan orchard in the world. You just drive through these pecan orchards for forever. A lot of agriculture. NMSU, the college I went to, it's a predominantly ag college. So they just teach agriculture. They're actually at that college is where they bred the chili. I forgot the name of it now. My New Mexico license is going to go away, but the big boy or whatever chili, they bred that strain of chili there at the college, and that's what became like the Hatch green chili that they grow and sell around the world. So a lot of agriculture, a lot of farming, ranching, but we do have a city. Las Cruces is growing. It's growing pretty quickly in terms of a city growing. So I've seen it even since when I was a kid. I remember where the borders of the city were, and after that it was just empty desert, and now it's 10 times bigger now. It's just those borders are just surpassed with a whole bunch of houses and everything in every direction. But it is beautiful. It can also be humbling. The desert is not a kind place. It is very hot. Everything's prickly. Everything's trying to poke you or bite you or poison you. And I really think it breeds strong people. I mean, the people that are from there, they're very resilient, very strong, and they pretty much can tough through anything. If you throw anything at them, they're going to come out with a creative solution and probably wrap some rope around it and call it something else, and it has a use. I don't know, but it breeds that type of person, because I think the people that can't make it, they leave. They go somewhere else. They go to Santa Fe. Oh, I'm gonna get it. Just kidding.
I go to Santa Fe.
So it kind of breeds an independent, minded people that are self-reliant.
Yep. Bad parts about it, and I mean, there's not as much opportunity. I think coming up to Colorado was to come up and for school for my significant other. He got into a PhD program for human medical genetics. Wow. He graduated with his PhD a couple years ago now, so now he's postdoc in it here at CU Anschutz Medical Campus. With that, I got to come up and build my career as well, and there just weren't as many opportunities to build a career there. And it's stagnant a lot of the times. It feels very stagnant, almost stuck. We would call it the land of entrapment, even though we know that that's not what entrapment means, but it just sounds good. It rolls off the tongue, Yeah. You feel trapped. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about ways to get out, which is funny because as soon as I did, I felt homesick and I missed it so much. And I missed the views and I missed the people, and I missed the tenacity, I guess, of everyone, and how much you could just get done with whatever you have.
Yeah, I have a friend who that I went to college with who lives in New Mexico, and her photos are always so, like the sunsets and sunrises are so vibrant, like the color there. And Todd's made comment about this. It's just really vibrant and beautiful. And so, I can see why they call it the land of enchantment. But the views are beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Something about the colors are unmatched. And I know I'm going to catch it from the local Coloradans because, these sunsets here are beautiful. I'm not with the mountains and the clouds, and they're beautiful, but something about New Mexico skies just hits different. It's just the colors are more intense, and I think there's more sky. It just feels like it's bigger somehow, but yeah.
There is definitely something special about it. And, as soon as I hit southern Colorado towards the New Mexico border, like it all just changes, not just the landscape, but like you said, the clouds, the sky, the light is definitely like, my wife likes to give me a lot of grief when we drive to the southern parts of southern Colorado, or into New Mexico because she doesn't like me looking at the light because if I'm looking at light, I'm probably not paying attention to the road, in which case she gets really scared.
We drive
And then I hear
home.
about it.
Yeah, no, we drive home about twice a year to go see family, and I have a lot of pictures of that stretch. It's a beautiful stretch of land. Yeah.
You were born there, you grew up there.
Yep.
And I read that your mom is an artist as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, she is. Definitely is. I mean, I grew up jealous of my mom. She's amazing and she's humble and she'll never say that she's amazing. But I have drawings of her. I mean, just pen and pencil, and her doodles were so elaborate. She'd be on the phone doing something and she'd be doodling, and it would just be a full page of these intense little line drawings, and they would be perfect. And she always made gifts and did all the artwork on like bottles for all the weddings. And she did a lot of oil paintings as well when I was a kid, and that's what I remember. I remember the smell of the oil paint, and ultimately, I think that's why I'm drawn to oil painting, is because I've always been chasing that dragon with the smell of that oil paint that I remember from a kid. Unfortunately, they put them in a storage shed, and so I lost a lot of her oil paintings. I don't have them. They live in my head now. But she still draws, and she still does a lot of crocheting, and she likes a lot of wood burning as well. So she gets like the palos, the yuccas, the dried yucca stems that come up after the flowers all fall off, and then they just usually fall off and they're just a stick. But she'll gather those from all the yuccas. She has about 5.5 acres in the middle of Doniana, so she lives in the middle of the desert. She'll gather those, and then she has a full wood burning set, and she'll just do intricate designs into these walking sticks. And she has a whole room full of walking sticks that are just immaculate and perfect, but she doesn't want to sell them. And so yeah, she's an artist, and I grew up with that. So it just kind of turned into me being an artist as well. And she's my number one supporter, and she was always my number one teacher as well. Since I was young, I was probably 4 or 5. And I was trying to draw, and I would get frustrated, as kids do. I had my mom right there, and she had everything you needed to say as a young kid trying to learn how to draw. I mean, don't look at a chair and draw a chair. You look at a chair and you draw the abstract shapes that make up the chair. And, a lot of people don't learn that until they're in their mid-20s in college in an art class. Like I was learning that when I was 5 because I had my mom right there in my ear telling me things like that. So I was lucky in that sense. Very lucky.
Yeah.
Now, did she go to art school?
Not really. She took a couple community college classes, but she was always artistic, just naturally. She was in band. I think in high school, she was from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, is where she was raised. So, I mean, I think her high school had like a graduating class of 30 maybe, but she was voted, most artistic, and she was the artist of her whole family. And I mean, just a whole generation. She was the artist of the generation there. So she's
Some
very
people
artistic.
just got that thing, right?
Yeah.
So since you had this early introduction to art, have you always seen yourself as an artist?
I think it's a touchy subject because I don't think I did. I think my mom always pushed me to try and be more scientific. Always, we don't come from much. Our family history is probably, poverty is a horrible word to say, not horrible, but we don't have much. So it just makes more sense for our generation. If we're going to go to school, if we're going to try and make something of ourselves, you do something practical, you try and get a practical job, you do. And that's fair. And I get that. And I embodied that for the most part. So I never really pursued art fully. I was always doing art tangent. So, I mean, in high school, in high school, I was a rebel. So I didn't want to listen to anyone that told me to do something. So I took some art classes, and of course they tell you to draw something 10 times or draw straight lines until no. So I got out of those classes. I couldn't do it. So I just did it on my own and doodled and messed around. And then I got to college and would take art classes on the side, but always still drawing, painting on the side, I got all my degrees and things that would make more sense to have a good job later on, but always painted. Got some studio minor. I got a minor in studio art, but I also got a major in anthropology and museum art conservation and restoration. So both anthropology, I was focused in culture and the art side of culture, but it was a science. So it wasn't just being an artist. And then museum art conservation and restoration, it was really melding of science and art, and it led to an actual tangible job in my head. So I got these degrees that I felt would be more logistical. I could get something out of it. Turns out I didn't use any of those degrees, but ended up just continuing to do art. And at a certain point, I had to realize that art was always going to be around. I kept trying to push it away. I'm like, no, I need to get a real job. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then I would end up still going back to art. I would always paint. I would always do this. It's always been around. And I just had to eventually suck it up and say, no, I'm an artist. I'm always going to make art. It's always going to be a part of my life. So I might as well also lean in and try and get good at it. What's it going to hurt?
So obviously you have this connection with your mom and her being artistic and always doing something. Is that where your compulsion to create comes from, or do you think it's something else?
I don't know where it comes from, because I have my theories about artists in general, but maybe it comes from her, but almost genetic, not learned, because it just comes from within to make things and to want to make things. And then, I mean, honestly, we're masochists because it's hard to make things. And why are we making these things? And for whom? For ourselves, for other people that might not even see it or like it? Why are we torturing ourselves to make these things? And so at some point, I think it comes from within. I don't know. I just can't not do it.
It's just the fabric of your being, right? It's who you
Yeah,
are.
I think so. I see things I want to make, and I see things that are pretty. And I also see things in my head that I think are pretty, and I'm compelled to try and show people at least.
You talked about that your mom was recognized by her peers for her artistic abilities. Did you have that same kind of experience growing up?
I never flaunted it as a kid, I guess, and I never really tried that hard. I was a little bit under her shadow, to be honest. She was always the artistic one, and everyone knew it. So I didn't try too hard as a kid. So I wasn't, as a kid, I was the gifted math and science person. I always excelled in math and science. And so I was that nerdy kid that was in one grade, but also bumped up grades and other things, and was traveling to different schools. And so it was never art. That's not what they noticed about me. I was the nerdy math and science kid.
So do you think math and science makes impression on your art? Does it influence your art?
I think it does after I found some of the old masters. I didn't see the connection until museum art conservation and restoration, when I found out how the old masters painted and the reasoning behind how they painted and the techniques they used and why they used them. And really it comes down to math. A lot of everything they did was math, and then science, understanding the natural world of how pigments reflect and different glazes, and how you can get light to reflect through the glazes to make things glow, and all these types of things that I never thought were science and never thought of them as math, even the golden ratio and all of these different things that you kind of learn and don't put it together. When I realized it's all math and science, I'm like, oh, I get it. It's kind of cool in that way.
Yeah. You got these degrees in anthropology and museum conservation, art conservation. How come you didn't pursue the conservation side of things?
I tried tried. So it's a very narrow field, and they do have some graduate programs. You can't practice it without getting your master's certificate or degree in this, but they only have 2 programs in the country, and both are on the East Coast. And that's just too far. I am, a rural New Mexico girl at heart. I was like, I don't want to move that far away. I can't move that far away from my family. We can't, like Colorado, I can still put my kids and dogs in the back of the Jeep and get home in a day if I needed to. I don't think we could do that on the East Coast or West Coast. So we still stayed as close as we could.
And you guys moved to Colorado
Yep.
for jobs or?
We had just finished our undergrads, and he got an opportunity up here at Anschutz Medical Campus at a PhD program. So that was it. We had a good opportunity not too far away, and we moved up here with literally, we didn't even see the house we moved into beforehand.
Wow.
We had no clue. We just loaded up a trailer and drove up here.
What year did you move to Colorado?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah. I was pregnant with my son also at that time. So that was fun.
Yeah, you kind of left, being pregnant, and then you left New Mexico. You left your support group.
Oh, yeah.
You showed up where never seeing the house and probably not knowing anybody. And
we knew no one. We had no friends. I had to sign my daughter up for school, and they have like, do you have an emergency contact, a local, like in case both of you die, who are we going to call? I had no one, not a single person. Like, I think I went over to my neighbor's house and knocked on the door and was like, hey, can I put you as my daughter's emergency contact? I have no one.
Wow. How did that go?
It worked. They were nice.
Good.
Yeah. They were nice neighbors.
Nice. That's a crapshoot.
You never know. It could have gone either way.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're primarily an oil painter. Do you do other forms of art as well?
Yeah, I'm a serial jumper, and I think eventually I just settled down on oil painting, but I've done a little bit of everything, to be honest. My other favorite thing, the one thing that I filled my garage with tools for, was metalsmithing. I love making jewelry. So a lot of silversmithing, stone setting, casting. I had a full little vacuum caster in my garage at one point with a kiln and everything, so you could do the whole casting process.
Wow.
But metalsmith, something about really hot torches, and it seems kind of dangerous and fun, and it's
still a bubble.
Yeah. I haven't calmed down any. That's also my dad. I mean, my dad had a full garage full of tools, and at a very early age, I mean, he's always welding stuff and building stuff, and they're always working on cars and doing stuff. So I was just always around that, and I was a little girl that had to still learn.
That's cool that you picked up some of those skill sets and were exposed to that in your youth.
Yeah. My brother, well, he's an electrician now, and my dad still does all his own mechanic work and stuff, so still around.
Nice.
I just have my own welder now.
So what really resonates though with you is the oil painting.
Yeah. Even with, so this is whenever I had to make a decision, especially with jewelry, is because every time I was going to make jewelry, I was wondering, well, like, what image am I going to put on it? Like, and that's not the point of jewelry. It's supposed to be the metal. And I was just like, no, I need to paint something. And so also Georgia O'Keeffe is just an idol of mine. I love that lady so much. Everything about her, I can't help it. I love her philosophy. I love what she was doing. I love how independent she was. Everything about it. And I also feel like she really understood New Mexico in a degree that not everyone is willing to sit down and understand. She was willing to slow down with New Mexico because it is the land of mañana. Everything can be put off till tomorrow or 30 minutes, whatever you want mañana to mean, it can be put off. And I think she fully embodied that when she went down there, and she understood that vibe. So love her for that. I forgot the question.
Well, the oil painting is where your heart lies.
Yeah. So something about being able to say a story in the oil paint, like one, it goes back to my mom and her oil painting when I was a kid. That'll always be stuck in my mind. Two, there's like Georgia O'Keeffe, and there's all of these idols that were able to tell a story in their painting. Another aspect of it, though, is me really having a deep appreciation for the masters and what they accomplished with what they did. And I learned a lot of that in museum art conservation and restoration, because that's what you do. You study the skeleton of a painting. What is that? That's a canvas. Okay, so there's basic things, but like these guys went into depth to make the materials the way they wanted them, and there were reasons, and there were recipes, and there was a structure. It makes me I know a lot of artists do this, and it's great using all these alternative materials and methods, and they're almost saying, like, oh, these old guys and their paintings, and it's so out of date. I was like, but there's a reason those paintings are still around and look pretty. Like whatever you painted on cardboard is not going to be around in 15 years because it's acidic and it's going to degrade, which may be the point. And if that's your point, more power to you that your artwork is going to disintegrate. But like they really did their due diligence in making what they were doing last longer, and they had reasons behind the different materials they were using. Did they want it to be glowing? Did they want it to bounce light off of your eye? And these things, they mattered. And really, oil painting is the culmination of all of that. That's how they got to oil painting, is everything they wanted to do, all the things they wanted to express, and the best ways to do it is it created the oil paints. So for me, they're kind of the pinnacle. But I get it. That's not everyone. I'm also admittedly really horrible at watercolors and acrylic. Like if I try, I just can't. If I can't blend out two colors for 30 minutes, I don't know what to do.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it dries too fast.
Mm-hmm. It's a completely different mindset. And then the same with watercolors. Like they intimidate the crap out of me. They were so hard because they just like, it goes down and you just have to accept it. I'm like, no.
So, we know you love Georgia O'Keeffe deeply. Of the old masters, like who do you gravitate towards? Is there somebody like just blows you away because maybe of their technique or how they developed, their form of doing it?
I love Vermeer for his sense of color and what he would do. But I'm also just drawn to like intense drama, and you could probably see that in my work. Like people tell me that, and I don't necessarily see it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's getting bland. They're like, it's not bland. It's incredibly contrasty and full of drama. I'm like, oh, but to me, that's like Caravaggio does that very well.
Yeah,
and he just always brought the drama, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, both of those guys were amazing. Yeah.
Vermeer for his colors, though. I love color. And that's one thing that Caravaggio didn't fully do, because I get it, because what he was doing. But Vermeer was just a master at color. And I love color.
Caravaggio, I love the way his dramatic lighting. And it's a narrative. Obviously, he's telling a story, always telling a story. But man, powerful images.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I respect that. Yeah.
And he was just doing it in a time when not everyone was doing that either. I mean, after him, everyone did it because he was doing it and people paid him a lot to do it. Yeah. Before him, they were kind of doing some weird stuff in art history.
And then the weird stuff that came after, like in the 20th century.
Oh, yeah. There's always weird stuff.
So from those old masters, is there particular things that you incorporate as far as either materials or process when you paint?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing that I try and incorporate from them is the layering and the glazes. I love glazes. Glazes are something that you cannot recreate any other way. It basically, you're building up transparent layers. and the transparent layers can have some color in it, some transparent color. And I mean, so if you put a transparent blue on top of a yellow, you're getting a green, but you're getting a green you would never mix in a tube. And it looks alive because it's actual light bouncing. It's not just like a flat green. And so you can put down a single color, and then I just start glazing, and interesting things happen. They just happen by themselves, but there is a rhyme and a reason behind it. So you're doing it intentionally, or sometimes you can throw down a painting in one day, just like the basic painting, and it's there, it's fine. But then you go back for months doing these layers of glazes, and like, I want to push this back, so I'm gonna throw down some purple so it jumps back, but then I'm gonna complement what I want to push forward in yellow so that those two contrast, and things. You can do very interesting things with glazes that isn't direct painting necessarily, but it gets you to a different level that I really like.
How long did it take you to incorporate this into your work?
I guess it took me a while to not feel like a fraud, because when you don't get it down the first time, you're like, oh man, I can't paint. I can't make it look like that the first time I go out to do it. And the interesting thing about building up layers is it builds up a history as well, and you can kind of see all of that as you go. So it took a couple years, probably about 3 or 4 years, of me starting to do this and thinking that I was a fraud and thinking that I wasn't good enough, then eventually coming full circle and realizing this is just how I paint. It's perfectly valid. In fact, it's probably where my style is going to start appearing, and it has, that's just how I paint, and it became part of my style, air quotes. And then you just embrace it and it becomes part of you. But yeah, I felt for a long time like all these little layers were almost like, oh, I'm covering up the fact that I can't paint, instead of saying I'm enhancing it, or this is my process.
Interesting. So a little different than imposter syndrome, or same thing?
No, it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
and most people have that anyway, especially early on. They figure and Julia Roberts, perfect example. I'm waiting for the day they tell me they realize I can't act, that kind of stuff. So that imposter syndrome. So she said that in an interview one time, which is just crazy,
Yeah, because she's awesome. I just feel like a lot of artists, we live in that, right? I mean, we're creating things from out of our head that no one else has thought of or wanted to do, and you have to just sit behind it sometimes and do it. Otherwise, you're never going to do anything.
Right.
How does your education, your anthropology, and your art conservation background, how does that play into your work?
So art conservation, I think I've talked about that quite a bit, because it really gave me an appreciation for the masters and art history. I've never been one to particularly enjoy art history or sitting and learning about and memorizing all the different times or all the different things. Like, I just love art and I just love making stuff. So that's a different vibe, sitting there trying to pretentiously talk about art. But learning about why they did it made me appreciate a lot of the reasons why they were doing it and starting to incorporate it. So anthropology made me appreciate culture and humans, and to study humans in a different way, to think of them as, part of the animal kingdom a little bit. We do these kooky little things with culture and language and art, where we express things to each other with objects. Like, that's a weird thing, but we do it. And so that was always interesting. Like, why are we making art? What are we saying with it? Why are other people feeling something when they see it? And that's a very human thing. And most of anthropology is studying the why, all the way back with evolution to like why we became humans. Why do we have culture? Why do we have art? Why do we have all of these different things? And so I really saw a different side of art and how we communicate with each other with it. So for me, my art has become very autobiographical, because to me, and this isn't for everyone, it's not about necessarily saying something about culture or saying something about what's happening in the world today or having some political message. I think the important part about my art for me is that I'm expressing my personal experience in this world, because that is ultimately a statement of humanity, because we all have an experience that not everyone sees. It's personal to you. And so the more each person can express their personal experience, you're building a body of evidence for future generations of what life was like today. So it is autobiographical, and I guess I am saying a political statement within it, but it's just kind of creating evidence for future generations of what life is like just by expressing how I feel about the world and what I think is beautiful.
And art doesn't always have to make a statement per se. I mean, it can just be this personal, emotive thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Then my anthropology brain kicks in and I'm like, but that is expressing something. Like, that is documenting what you think is pretty or what, drives you to make art. And that's worth documenting.
Do you paint every day?
I try to. Sometimes I don't get around to it, but I do always have a palette in my freezer just in case, I pull it. I hate the whole cleanup process. So I figured out if you put your palette in a freezer, it doesn't ever, it can stay there for probably about 2 weeks before it dries all the way. So I always hated wasting paint. So I always have it in my freezer and I just pull it out, and you can paint a little, especially with the layers. It's nice. I usually have about 10 different paintings going at once. And if I sit down and I could do 10 glazes real quick, and I did something, and then, put the palette back in the freezer and wait till tomorrow and I'll do another glaze.
So you got 10 projects working on. Is they just different ideas pop in your head and one feeds to the other? Is that how that works for you?
Yeah. And I have a couple different things, a couple different ideas going on at once. I mean, I have a whole series based on buildings and different places within my life that I resonate with. But then I have a whole series now with flowers that I'm working on. But I have a series of just landscapes. I also have a series of skies. So I can bounce between all of these different things at any given time. And sometimes I'll pull together a nice cohesive body once I have enough that I think say something.
I think that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
And they probably influence each other, because you're working on one. Yeah. And, so yeah, no, I think that's great. I don't think I've ever operated where I'm working on more than one project at a time. Not that, because I'm not an artist per se, making a living from it. So, but like if I'm doing photography, I don't see myself doing like multiple ideas at one time, it seems like, which is probably sad for me. But
you're good. That's probably normal. I have like 10 things going on in my brain at any given time, and I can't focus on one without just getting bored and abandoning it.
So obviously you're a multitasker. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually have to do at least 2 things at once to be able to focus on one. If that doesn't make sense, probably, but it is.
I'm an anti-multitasker in theory. The multitask theory, I think, is crap. But anyway,
I don't think it's productive all the time. No, it's stressful. It stresses you out. But like, that's what I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to like do 2 things at once and really put forth the effort on one thing. When not that you can't think about 2 things, but you're usually focusing on one thing. And then your focus moves. And then you got to that's why like jumping from one thing to the other is not productive, because then your brain has to readjust to what it was doing over here. And me and another guy got into a big heated discussion about multitasking. Of course, I was in my 50s and he was like 20. Like, you're full of shit, dude. And
if I give myself two semi-productive things to jump in between,
yeah,
it's a lot more productive because then I
right,
could jump back and forth
right,
and then still get two things done semi-productively
right.
without getting bored on one individually and just abandoning it. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. The only true multitasker I ever heard of is we had a president, I can't remember which one it was, who could write in English and French at the same time, doing perfect translations at the same time.
That's intense.
Yeah. Anyway, that's truly because your brain has got to work in two languages and write. I don't even know how that's even possible, but supposedly that is true. Anyway,
It's impressive.
yeah, but I love the idea that you got multiple projects going on at one time. I think that's amazing, you know.
It's another thing I stumbled on because I just kept doing what I thought was pretty, and it was never like a body of work. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, but naturally they kind of sort themselves off into certain categories, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm just doing a couple at once. That makes more sense.
And did you like, let's say before you were doing multiple projects at one time, did you get to a place sometimes where you were stuck and then you just had to walk away? And, you know, now you can walk to something instead of walking away from something?
Yeah, that's probably where it started. I was just like, I don't want to look at this anymore, but I kind of feel like painting still. So let's start a new one.
So have you ever had artist block where you're like, I don't know what to paint next? Or is it just constant flow?
I think the only time I ever felt that way was whenever I would hit barriers where I didn't think I could paint that to the level that I wanted to. And then I was stuck because I would go to put the brush down and I couldn't do it. And that was frustrating. And so I would like reevaluate what I wanted to paint and then feel bad about myself because I'm painting my second level, my second idea, not my first idea. 2020, I really turned a corner in that because, I had nothing better to do. So I was like, you know what? Those things I've been avoiding painting because I couldn't do it. I'm going to learn how to do it. So I just took a lot of online courses and had fun.
I was just going to ask you about that. Like you had mentioned that you minored in studio art in college. So you ended up educating yourself online during the pandemic and leveling up, you think?
Yeah, to be fair, I only took one painting class whenever I was getting my minor in studio art. The rest was all metalsmithing because I loved the metal studio and I loved my metals teacher and professor. And so, that was all metalsmithing. I learned a lot of techniques about that. And then, of course, I decided not to do that and be a painter.
Now, working in two different mediums, is there anything that translates from one to the other? I mean, they're very different, but I'm just curious.
I think what helped me from one to the other with metals, it's pretty precise. You have to cut things precisely. You have to sand them. You have to line up the metal because if you go to solder that together and the line isn't straight, that solder is not going to flow all the way down your seam and it's going to look messy. And so it takes a lot of attention to detail, which helped me come to painting because with painting you could be very loose if you wanted to, but also the old masters were very tight with the reasons why they did things, or even the drawing at first, like taking the time to lay out a decent drawing, even if you see no lines afterwards and you pretty much erase it, taking the time to lay out a drawing, it's going to help you in the end. And that's similar to metals when you have to cut out all your pieces and sand them down and make sure they go together. And then you put the flame to it, it's a couple seconds and it goes together in the solder. But it was a little bit of the intricacy of just setting stuff up for yourself, and that practice of doing that came over to painting a little bit.
So how long would you say that you've been like seriously engaged with painting?
So 2013 is when I graduated from undergrad, and then I decided I was like, I'm going to take a year off and I'm just going to paint. I'm going to see what happens. And I didn't expect much. I didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunities. I hadn't moved to Colorado yet. There's a lot more opportunity here to get out there and to see artists and art shows. There wasn't that much there. It's more of a touristy vibe. So it's a lot of touristy art, not much of a big emerging art scene, if that makes sense. But yeah, I sat down and I made a body of work, and I got into a show in Taos, sold a painting before the show even opened, and it was good. That was a good thing to have happened so early on in me deciding I wanted to paint, because it really set me up for thinking of myself as an artist and as a painter. And then I continued to paint from there. But I mean, that was probably 7 years then until 2020, and I would paint, but I never felt like I was really excelling fully, and I was hitting those roadblocks. So it was really 2020 when I sat down and just buckled down in the skill of painting, instead of just, I was doing a lot of expressing. Like, I wanted big colors, Rothko style canvases to express my feeling and stuff. I was like, but that it was almost a cop out for me, because I knew that personally I wanted to be able to draw and to have things like that incorporated in my work. And I always felt like I wasn't able to. So I started to learn how to incorporate both. And I actually got pretty decent at realism. I have some older stuff that I feel got very realistic. And then I got bored with that and started backsliding to try and find the sweet spot where I was still very interested, and it was exciting and loose and fun and not too tight, but still realism. And currently where I'm at now, I'm still in a backslide of like, how much can I abstract things so that they're super interesting to me still, but there's still a thing.
So what excites you? What gets you jazzed to go to the easel and paint?
It sounds so silly, but just the principles of art, like all these, like design. I love design. I love to lay out something that has cool shapes. And that comes first. And like, how can I just get these broad, cool shapes on this canvas? And then from there, it's working in details and working in lines and working in things. But then after that, so that's usually gone. And that's that fun, exciting, like first pass that I'm really excited to do. I love starting paintings. It's that middle phase where I get a little bummed out on a painting, and then want to start other paintings. And that's why I have 20 sitting around unfinished. So but then there becomes a part at the middle to end where it's all about that color and those glazes and making things pop, and just how much more can I make it pop or recede or do this. And that's usually color and glazing. And so that also gets exciting towards the end. But that middle part, man, it's just not as fun. I'm more excited to start paintings and finish them.
Do you know when you're done, or is it something do you abandon them, or do you know like, oh, this is done?
Yeah, I don't normally abandon unless it's something I just don't want to see anymore. And then usually I give those away to people. I'm like, you can have it. And people are like, oh, it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to look at it anymore. but normally that's whenever I've decided there's fundamentally something that I have to give up on. Like, is it the initial drawing? Am I going to redraw this whole thing? Probably not. So, I have to give up. But if I still feel like there's hope and potential, I'm not going to give up. I'll go at it like a dog with a bone until I think it's done. And then whenever I get to a point where I genuinely feel like if I did something else, I'm afraid I would not completely mess it up, but I feel like if I did something else, it would take away from the overall vibe of the thing. And then I'm like, oh, well, it must be done now. And sometimes that happens a lot sooner than other times. There was, I don't know if you've looked on my Instagram, but there is one, and it's actually of white sands, and it's a big skyscape with clouds, and then it looks like snow, and I think most people from Colorado will think it's a snowscape, but it's actually white sands. And that one I threw down that sky and ground in like 30 minutes. Wow. And then I went back to go do another layer, and I just couldn't. I didn't want to. Yeah, that one.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Like there was just nothing else I wanted to do to it. So I was like, yeah, I guess that's it.
Hmm. And so do you work from reference material?
Yes.
Okay.
I've made it a point though to use my own pictures because for a while I didn't take pictures of things I liked. And then I just absolutely do not like the idea of using other people's pictures. I respect photographers for what they do. And that's their art. And that would just be copying out for me. So nowadays I take so many pictures on my cell phone that it's ridiculous. I need to get the cell phones with like the most amount of data storage because I don't know what else to do with it. And I've already maxed out like Google image storage, and I heard Amazon Prime also has some storage I might go into soon, but I have a lot of pictures.
So do you use the iPhone as the reference, or do you actually like print it off and then paint from that?
I do like to print them only because I hate having to like toggle a device
Sure.
back on as I'm painting.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
also don't like my battery dying fast. So, I mean, that's just me being finicky. I like to print
And
it
practical.
so it's physically there. Yeah.
And then where does your ideas come from? Do you just like peruse images and then you're like, oh, I like this one, I'm going to create this? Or do you have something percolating in your head? And if you do, where do you think that comes from?
So I went through this a little bit at the beginning where I wasn't sure what to paint. And I never knew if what I chose was good enough or no. So I decided at one point that I'm just going to take pictures of things that I think are beautiful. And then that's enough because I thought they were beautiful. And if I paint them, then they're going to fall into one of those categories of things that I paint. And then from there, so I take all of these pictures of things I think are pretty. And then sometimes when I'm bored and also and don't feel like painting, but still feel like being creative, I go through all of my pictures and I'll just scroll back for years and find old pictures that I favorited. Then I'll go through and I'll mess with them. I'll turn up all the different settings. And I like to make my pictures are reference photos for one. I'm not a photographer. I'm horrible at taking pictures. None of my pictures are set up very well. And they're usually taken like as I'm driving without even looking. I was like, I think that's pretty clip. And so there's like askew and the colors off and everything. But I'll go in and I'll edit them up and do everything like how I would possibly want a photo or a painting to look. And they're usually cropped drastically or the colors are blown out because I want them to be crazy yellow instead of the natural colors that they are. And so that's what I do sometimes when I don't feel like painting, but I'm sitting there on my phone instead of scrolling Instagram. I'm just updating random pictures from 3 years ago, making them into a painting in my head.
There's a whole genre of photography. I don't know if genre is the right term. There's a whole group of photography that is not looking through the viewfinder and just shooting from the hip. And a lot of times they'll just like, and this goes back to even film. They just like don't even have a viewfinder. You know, they're never looking at it. They're just seeing something and they're shooting. And if it turns out, it turns out. If it doesn't, and it's usually like shooting from the hip. Now, remember,
Nice.
Todd, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever heard of those? I think it came out of Russia or Germany. There was a whole movement of that kind of ilk of photography. So interesting.
Yeah.
So I like the whole idea that looks pretty, and we're gone. So I think that's great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
But then I like to go through them, and it's a curation process. And sometimes I don't know, I'm in different moods some days too, because sometimes I'm like, I love all of these and I've never gone back to that picture. I'm like, I don't feel like ever painting that one. But and I'll print out a whole bunch. And sometimes when I'm in a mood, I'll go through all my printouts and then just pick the one that speaks to me right then at that moment in time. And that's what I'm painting for the day. Wow. But you have to print out a lot of pictures to have a stack to go through like that.
Sure.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like that process, the thought behind the process, right? So what's your current state of mind?
Today, right now?
Yeah. Like as of recent. I know you've been really busy because you touched on that when we had a conversation last week.
So I've been painting a lot of flowers, and it took me a while to get to flowers because how cliche is painting flowers, especially as a female artist painting flowers. I avoided them for so long, and I just kept being drawn back to them. And I didn't fully understand why. I have one behind me. You can't see it, but I could turn it off. But I'll turn it off here in a sec.
No, that's fine.
But no, like I'll do it because it helps.
Here, I'll pull up. I think I have the one.
That one?
If not, it's very similar. Is that the same one?
Oh
Keith?
yeah, there it is. There it
Or
is.
is that a different one?
No, that's it.
Yeah. This is beautiful.
Yeah, so that one, it's wildflowers. It's wild sunflowers. And that's kind of one of the latest ones. I have a couple past this that are in more unfinished state. But I love flowers, but I'm not drawn to the normal flowers. It's not the pretty flower in a vase. And I think I tried that. I tried doing some still lifes before, and they always felt dead to me. But these feel more alive and more crazy and chaotic. And especially, I think it was actually 2020 and 2021 when it rained a lot here in Colorado. Do you remember that? Like, it just rained for a whole season, and all these sunflowers came up everywhere. And that's actually where this picture was taken, was just wild sunflowers on the side of the road that just came up out of nowhere. But they're so strong to me. Like, they're beautiful, yes. They're chaotic. They're tough. They just grow up out of nowhere. Kind of like that saying, like, don't be a pansy, be a dandelion. Because they can grow up through the cracks of cement, and they don't need anything. And like a pansy needs to be watered like so many ounces of water and blah, blah, blah. So these flowers, they're just tough flowers. I mean, they're wild and they're beautiful, and something about their chaotic nature and kind of just not being perfect is even more beautiful for me. And so I have these. I have some hollyhocks. Hollyhocks are also my grandma's favorite flower. They were,
oh my God, really? That was my grandma's favorite too. She had a bunch of hollyhocks outside her house.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Like surrounding her whole house. Yeah, because you lay down hollyhocks and they just go crazy. They'll just keep reseeding themselves.
Yeah.
So hollyhocks are really, I mean, they embody strength. Once you throw hollyhock seeds down and they take root, those roots go like 20 feet down into the ground. They don't need watering. They're just going to keep coming up every year after year. They'll keep spreading their seeds. So it's something tough, strong. They're very tall. They're very robust. So I'm doing flowers, yes, but I'm doing flowers from a different perspective, like that natural, strong flower. It took me a while, and it actually took some conversations with people. I was talking to Todd about this the other night. I didn't realize why I was painting these flowers until I was talking to people, and I kept talking about why I was painting the flowers in a roundabout way. And I realized I'm probably painting these flowers because I feel like it's me. Like, I am the flower. They're becoming a portrait of myself. And then that became a body of work at that point. I was like, okay, I could talk about this. Like, this makes sense now. And I don't have to feel bad about painting flowers as a female artist, which you shouldn't have to anyway. But I did in my own head for some reason. So I'm going with it. I'm painting flowers.
I love that. I love and what's kind of coincidental is this summer when I was out walking a lot, I was shooting a lot of sunflowers because they, like you said, they're so resilient and they grow like right up against the side, in between the sidewalk and the pavement. Yeah. I mean, also, and we have this road that goes in Rapid City that like it's just lined with wild sunflowers. But there's you can't like pull over because the ditch like drops off dramatically. But it's kind of pretty because, you know, it's a field of yellow, like in a straight line, because they're all stuck in this one path, and it's amazing. So this summer I was shooting a lot of those wild sunflowers, and then you said something else that touched me as well. You said that you like the imperfections of it, and that's another thing I really embraced within the last few years. Is, you know, back in the day you'd like touch up something or Photoshop something, so you'd get rid of all the imperfections and have like this beautiful, like perfect flower, let's say. And now it's just like, I want to see the imperfections. I want to see things that are not necessarily perfectly beautiful. And I love that. I love that philosophy that you have.
Yeah, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's people or an object or whatever, it's the imperfections that make something beautiful, not the perfect symmetry or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think these are wonderful. And I think what I really love about your work, I was trying to, break it down a little bit today, is I love to see your exploration of things, and I love your style. Like, I absolutely adore your style.
Thank
There's
you.
there's a timelessness to it that I really appreciate. When I look at your paintings, a lot of them, I feel like I'm transported to a different time, like a different era. I feel like sometimes when I'm looking at one of these paintings of yours, I'm looking at something that could have been painted like turn of the 20th century, like in the 20s or 30s. And it just speaks to me. Like I really do. I love it. This hollyhock painting is just stunning.
Thank you. I love some Art Deco, so I'll take that. That's a compliment.
I'm gonna pull up another piece that I think it just grabs me, and I can't even pinpoint exactly what it is, but I love it. This particular piece, that is just extraordinary.
So what's that called for
I
people
don't have
that
a
want
name.
to?
I don't have a name for it yet. It's still in process. It's sitting on my wall. I think it's done. And it's one that I'm not sure I'm willing to give up on yet. I don't know if I feel like it needs something else or not, but I could tell you the story behind it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So this is actually from Monticello, where my family originated on my mom's side. And so my mom went down to visit with some of her cousins, and they were picking apples, and the cows were underneath the trees in the shade, but also eating apples. And so my parents had all these pictures from that day, but this is a picture that my mom took while out in Monticello, where her family's from.
And so looks like three cows that are in the shade, backlit, and yeah, it's really beautiful. I love it. I love the color.
I was really trying to play with breaking up the shapes, and I thought about adding more detail to the cows, and then I kind of decided not to. I feel like if I did, it might take away from the silhouette. It might not, but it might. So I didn't want to.
So how big a painting is this?
This is actually smaller, so it's only 16 by 20.
Okay.
I've
been going bigger, but it's one of the smaller ones.
First of all, I love how abstract this is. And I think like I wouldn't do a thing to it, but that's just me, and I'm not the artist. But from your standpoint, from your viewpoint as the artist, what do you think that you want to do differently, or what do you want to add to it, do you think?
I guess so. I could tell you now what I have done that's not in this picture, but I changed the background, which is like that yellow, that glowy yellow, and I actually made it more of a background. And then I went back to this glowy yellow because I didn't like what I did. So I actually did go back to this sky this way, mainly because this picture, I was scrolling through my feed and saw this picture, and then I looked at the real painting and I was like, oh man, I went a wrong direction.
So how hard is it to do that? Because you had it one color, then you moved it. Is it just overpainting, or how do you bring that back?
It gets easier when you do it more.
Okay.
Especially because like with the edges and whatnot, you have to be careful with them. You can get weird halos and stuff that just look odd if you're going in the wrong direction. Like I did it a little bit darker, and so when I went lighter, it was easier because it wasn't like a weird glowing halo. It was like a darker halo, and it lended itself better to like blending in. So the more you do it, the better you get at covering up your own mistakes. Another thing, probably the tree is defining the tree. It looks a little cartoonish on top of like a very realistic set of cows. Even though they're abstract, they feel real and heavy, and then that tree just feels weird and floating. But that's where I'm stuck right now, is what do I want to do to that tree? I feel like the cows and stuff are good.
See, and I don't see that. I don't feel like it's floating. Like I feel like it's right. When I look at it, the untrained novice, it looks right. Like I don't see what you're seeing. Interesting.
It feels flat, and maybe it's because I think I need to have something protruding out or make it make it pop out towards us more. So we feel the shadow. Like
Gotcha.
right now they're under shadow, but like I don't feel like the tree's over them. So I need to make them under the tree.
Gotcha.
And that's just how do I do that abstractly and not try to go into detail about painting all these little branches and stuff is what I'm contemplating in my head, because I don't want to paint all the little branches. That doesn't interest me at all.
Right.
See, I love the softness of that tree in the background. You know, it feels like a photograph that was an image that was shot wide open with very little depth of field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love this piece. It just hit me over the head when I was looking at your work. And I'll be curious to see how it ends up.
I think it's getting closer. This is one that sits right next to my easel, so I have to stare at it until I finish it. That's what I do. I keep it close to me so it bugs me until it's done.
I love the shadow. I love these. I'm going to try to point at it like you can see my finger. I love these sticks or these brambles that they're kind of laying on or, next to. And again, I like that tree because like the cow's heads are kind of soft too, whereas its rump, its rear end, that's, closest to, I was going to say camera, closest to us. I mean, it's more.
It was a camera at one point.
I don't know.
It's more defined, in the hindquarter.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Thank you.
And again, this goes back to that feeling of painting from the 20s and 30s. I don't know. I love that era of painting, and I love the style, how you've incorporated where you're going with this. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. I'm lost for words.
I appreciate it. Thank you. This is also another one where I don't yet have a category of cows or it's not necessarily a landscape. It's not like one of my buildings. It's not a skyscape. It might be a new category. I don't know. It
might be in the shadows.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, I want you to bring up Fire Sunset.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Is that a fairly older one, or is that?
Not really. I actually finished it for a show last year. I was doing a show at it was early last year. It's older in the sense that I've actually painted over that same canvas about 4 times.
Really?
Yeah, and I tried to do it once, and this was one of the ones where I knew I was finally getting somewhere, because I had tried to do it probably about 2014, and then I just kept the canvas around. This is what I'm talking about when I don't give up a bone. And I kept the canvas around, and then I tried again probably around 2018, and I still couldn't do it. I have pictures of these, but I'm not willing to share. And then I had that show coming up, and a couple pieces actually sold right away, and they sold off the wall. So there was some holes in the wall, or, there's some empty space on the wall. And he's like, well, what else do you have? And this guy was sitting there, and I had about a month or so, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot again. I'm going to see if I can actually make the painting look how I wanted it to look. Because it's very moody, it's very dark, but also very bright. Like, how do you make that happen? And so this was probably my 4th attempt on the same canvas. All 4 are just on top of each other. But I think I finally hit the mark. This is what I wanted. And whenever I did it, I felt like I was done.
So what was the biggest change that made you feel like I've hit the mark? Was it the contrast, or?
I felt it glow.
Okay.
It's hard to tell on this picture, but in the brightest area, so everything is very orange red, very orange and red, so very warm. But when you actually look at this in person, and it's really hard to tell with this picture, the brightest area right there by the sun is actually blue.
Oh, really?
It's a very slight blue, and that just gives it so much depth and like brightness right there, just in that little sliver, that it feels right. So
nice.
I was trying to do it very messy and loose before, and I wasn't succeeding. It just looked really messy, to be honest. And this, I tightened it up a little bit, yet it looks messy, yet it looks right.
Right.
So
It's a landscape, but it has a lot of abstract to it.
mhm.
You know, very color fieldish, like Rothko in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Rothko. I talk crap about Rothko, but that's only because I really liked him and for a long time.
Right. Right. No, I love this. This is one of my, scrolling through your Instagram or your website and stuff. This one jumped out at me. I love this one. It's amazing.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. And I think I expressed this one of the other times I got to see you in person. But this one's called Under the Stars. And I just
Mhm.
love the feeling of that because I enjoy camping, because I enjoy being in the outdoors. It's very lovely. Like I feel like I'm transported there, you know?
Yeah. We were just camping and this isn't our campsite. So we were actually just right here camping. And then I looked over and they had these lights and it was just beautiful. So I snapped a picture and that's what this is. It's our actual camping trip.
Yeah, it's nice. So if you scroll a little further, Todd, there's one of San Lorenzo Church
Mm.
that just sold. It's an 18 by 18. I love this. And this is like quintessential New Mexico, right? With all
Yeah.
the missions and stuff. This is really
Yeah.
cool.
This is in Monticello. This is actually a church that my great grandpa helped fund and build. So
Oh,
this is a
wow.
family church. And then my mom actually this year, I forgot the name, but they recruit people to do the upkeep every year, and you're the one that kind of takes care of the church for that year. And that's my mom and dad this year. They're taking care of the church this year. And we were going to possibly do some projects on it. Help. There's some art inside. There's, the Stations of the Cross, very Catholic. And right now there's like little plaques and they're just pasted on the wall. And so we were thinking about making handmade plaques. She could do wood burning. We could also paint things and stuff. Us being artists, we'll get creative and we'll make something for the church. But the San Lorenzo Church is actually in Monticello. My uncle has this painting. He wanted it because that's his church. My grandpa, the gas tank, I know the gas tank looks like it stands out, but that's because my grandpa installed that gas tank. And so it was meaningful. And I put that in there for a reason.
Oh, that's great. Cause that's so funny. So that would have been one of the things like, oh, that's interesting. She included that, because that would be easy. So it's great that you had a little story behind it because it'd be easy just to, like not paint that. Like
Yeah.
I would be like, if I was shooting this, I'd be like, let me see if I can Photoshop that out. But it's an endearing story. So and it has meaning. And I thought it was interesting that you included it, so it's always fascinating what people include. Some people include it because it's there. Other people include it. And like in this case, you included it, because there's some family history too. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. I love that. Good. But it did pop out at me. I'm like, oh, well, it's hard not to have it pop out at you. It's really the brightest thing on the canvas. But yeah.
It's really there, man. It's like in your face. And I was going to tone it down, but I was like, it's there.
Yeah.
There's a story behind it.
Yeah. I love that. And I just love the color in this, the earth tones, and then the sky is marvelous, so yeah. Anyway.
Thank you. I do love me some shadows. So get me some high contrast shadows and I'm all over it.
You bet.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned this one, Wes. I could scroll through all of these paintings here and I could find something I love about every single one. I mean, it's easy to gush about it. Let's put it that way.
Thank
you. You're on the right path. Like you're going somewhere with this. Here's another stunning landscape.
Yeah, this is childhood memories. So, like I said, it's an ag city, so there's all these fields everywhere. And at certain points in the year, like this is probably early spring where they just seeded the fields and then they flood the field to get water from the river. And when you're driving past these, it's beautiful because how all the roads just go choo 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 by, but it's all reflecting the sky and all the different mountains and everything. And I've always been entranced by it. So I tried to capture it slightly. I don't think I tried to capture the motion. I'm not sure if I got there or not, but it was a fun one to paint.
I feel it. Like I know exactly when I'm looking at this, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it before. And so it's successful, you know.
Nice.
I want to go explore. I want to get into that painting. I want to walk around. So, I mean, I think that kind of sums it up. Like I'm having an experience with the piece.
Nice. Mission accomplished.
There you go. There you go.
Talking about mission accomplished, and before I move on, is there a name for that particular piece?
Flooding the Fields. I
Flooding
am
the Fields.
notorious for not coming up with that creative of names. They're very literal.
And I don't think they have to be some weird esoteric like title, you know, whatever you feel, you know. You said mission accomplished. What is the mission? Like I know that you have, and we talked about this, you recently got a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
You have a job outside of being a full-time artist. Is the mission to eventually leave a regular 9 to 5 to just paint? Or is that even part of the equation?
I have mixed feelings about that. Again, going back to my start and I did feel like an imposter for a long time for not being able to solely do art. I tried. Like I said, when I graduated, I tried to do the art thing and I wasn't making enough money. And I get stressed out. Like I never had a lot of money. I don't have a safety net. I don't have anyone that's going to pick me up and, pull me up if I don't have money to pay my rent or anything. And I wouldn't expect anyone to. So I'm very independent in that sense. And I always had a steady job, always had a steady paycheck, and felt bad that I couldn't just do my art. And it took me a long time. But I was actually talking with a friend. We were going to Loveland and we had like the whole hour-and-a-half drive to get there, and we were going to an art show. And I was talking with her and I was going through all of this because I felt so horrible about it for a certain point. And I realized that it's actually an asset for me to have a full, steady job. Whenever I didn't have a job, I also had a sense of artist block. I had all the time in the world and I had no idea what to paint. And there was so much pressure on me. And I felt stressed out that I couldn't pay the bills. And I felt stressed, and I literally couldn't paint. I was just stressed out about it. And the second I get this crazy busy job, which is my job now, it was crazy when I started, which I laugh at now because it's only gotten crazier. But when I started, that was the most hectic job I had ever had with the highest demands I have ever seen. But when I got that job, I started painting again. I shouldn't have. I was so busy. I couldn't even think half the time, but I would come home and I would paint. What was that about? And I realized for me, the security of having a full-time job allows me to have a full-time creative capacity. And it could be something, it could be anything, it could be whatever I wanted. And still, for a couple of years after that, I was still feeling like an imposter. But it wasn't until this conversation with a friend when we went to Loveland and back. Her name's Jen. I love her. If she hears this, she knows the whole conversation. I realized that having the full-time job is the thing that allows me to be creative, and it allows me to make whatever I want. And it didn't matter if it sold, right? It didn't matter if anyone else liked it. It didn't matter. I get to just make it for myself. But at that moment in time, when you make art only for yourself, is when you make things that other people like. I had to get there full circle. And that includes me having a job that fully supports me. And that's the only way that I've gotten to a point where I could make things that I feel connect with other people authentically, is to be in that safe, secure bubble of I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about this selling. I'm not worried about a show. Yet the shows have come and the people have bought my work. And it took a long time to get there, though. So it's a long story, but yeah.
I love that. And that's totally legit. And we've talked to plenty of artists that, I think they feel the exact same way. Like they never wanted the pressure of having to sell work to keep their art life going.
Yeah.
They have this other thing that they do that, pays well enough to support them. And then they have this ability to create something that they just love and they do it for themselves. And
Yep.
like you said, it's authentic
Yeah.
and people feel it. I mean, I feel it. I think Wes feels it,
Yeah.
and I think that's beautiful. Like, I think the idea that you have to be just, all you're doing is your art all the time. I don't think you have to take that route. Everybody does this thing differently.
Yeah.
We talked to a guy that, he only creates when he feels the desire to create. Some people create all the time because they're working, they feel like they have to do the work to get there. But I thought it was interesting. I mean, this guy has big shows all over the world, and yet he only creates when he feels the desire to. Otherwise, binge watching Breaking Bad on Netflix or something.
I love binge
And
watching some TV though. I'm
Yeah.
a sucker for that.
well, yeah, I mean, whatever your vice is or whatever you like, right? But again, like everybody does this differently, and I don't think there's any set way that you have to do it. And I appreciate you sharing that thought and that experience because, like Wes always says, somebody else out there needs to hear that. It's quite all right to have this other thing that you do that supports you, and then you have your art life, and they're symbiotic. They play off each other.
I think so. And it's funny. Well, my day job is very it's like budgets and spreadsheets and numbers and then I come home and I get to be creative. And it's almost like they complement each other,
Right.
I'm ready for the creativity by the time that I've been doing that all day, and vice versa. If I've been painting too much, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to, crunch some numbers and do something there I feel productive or whatnot. So
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
So it's a way for you to kind of decompress. Yeah.
oh, definitely. Yeah. My job is stressful.
What else does art do for you?
Um, I feel like it's just a connection to humanity. And that sounds silly, but that goes back to my anthropological roots. Like just thinking about anthropology, like I mean, art and creating things was around before language.
Yeah.
Like it's essential for who we are. It's just like everyone is creative. I mean, creativity and making things is what made us human. I think it's just getting back to something very, very natural for humans in general, is just to make stuff and express yourself, what's in your head, and get it out in the world. And then also, I love seeing art. So I love seeing other people's art. I love seeing what's in other people's heads, and that's how I view it. So I love going to see other people's art and seeing how they feel about things, because that's ultimately what they're showing you. They're making something pretty, yes, and it's a market and people are buying it, yes, but ultimately they're showing you what's inside their heads, and that's what's cool to me.
I love that. And I was going to comment that I know that you get out and you see a lot of shows and
I try.
yeah. No, I mean, I think that's important too. At least for me. I enjoy having the conversation like we did in the gallery the other night with
Yeah.
yourself, with other people that are, maybe showing there or whatever the case may be. Our friend Rose Frederick that curated the show. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fun scenario to go socialize in and take in other people's perspective, right? Have
Yeah.
that connection.
And I love meeting artists and talking to artists. I've also, a part of my story and trying to not be an artist for a long time was I was around non-artists for a very long time. And most of my life is around non-artists, apart from maybe my mom. So talking to artists, you really do realize how much you have in common with other artists. Like you always feel like the weird one. And then you get around in a group full of artists, you're like, oh, I'm not the weirdest one here. We're all kind of weird. That's cool.
This
Yeah.
is my people. These are my
Yeah,
peeps.
Right.
Outside of the New Mexican landscape and the flowers that you've been recently painting, where else do you find inspiration?
mostly skies and landscapes. I also like to just do plein air. but that's recent. So that's a lot of, it's Colorado plein air, honestly, at this point. And that came very strongly from my desire to learn. And then also like during COVID, I wanted to do this before COVID hit. Fall 2019 is whenever I was like, oh my God, I found plein air. And then, of course, 2020 hit and the whole world got derailed and all the events got canceled. But it was still a blessing because I found it on my own. So I wasn't like buying into the, you have to do this, you have to go to this. No, I was just out by myself painting, and it really learned a lot of fundamentals about painting and like how to paint skies and colors and everything. It's so hard. It's very hard, but you learn a lot as you do it. And so with that, I have gained a respect for mountains that I didn't have before. So I really do enjoy the Colorado landscape, and I'm getting a lot more inspired by it being here more often.
So it's funny you brought up plein air, because I wrote a question down earlier when we were all like looking at your stuff, because I seen you were doing some plein air. So talk about the difference between the plein air painting versus using reference material that you can look at. So how is that experience different?
So hard. And I think I can narrow it down to a couple of things that make it the hardest for me. The first thing is that the light's always changing. It's not like a picture stays still. The lighting is always going to stay the same, and you could play with it. You could do whatever you want. You start, and I think it was like Monet he did plein air, but he said like every 7 minutes, the light is different. And it's true. And you can't even lay down the underpainting in 7 minutes. And so you have an idea of what it used to look like, but what you're looking at isn't that. And so you're just like mentally trying to make it work. But also in reference pictures, it has created a two-dimensional image for you already. So you get this, like, you can break it into these shapes. But when you're out, it's really hard to wrap the whole world around fitting it in this tiny little rectangle or square shape. Like, you want to include absolutely everything because, of course, it's beautiful and it's there, but then you have to consistently just take it down to the basics, or else you're never going to be able to paint it within that 7-minute window. And it's just so stressful. It's actually a very stressful thing to be out there and trying to do it. And but you learn a lot. It's like painting boot camp. More power to people that are like, I want to take up painting and then do plein air first, because I don't know, I couldn't have done it. It's hard.
So does being in the atmosphere, smelling the smells, hearing the noises, the birds, the cars, does that influence your painting?
I think definitely. If it's windy and all the, everything's moved, but the smells and the season and the sun and the warmth, like you could feel like if it's a warm day, like you end up using warmer colors. And if it's cold, you're like, yeah, that's blue.
Yeah, that's blue.
It's a blue day. But I just enjoy it immensely. I enjoy being outside, one. And then, my family we like to go fishing. And I discovered we've always gone fishing. My mom's always gone fishing. My whole family's always gone fishing. And now my family, my current immediate family, they all love fishing. So we will literally go out at like 5-6 o'clock in the morning, take snacks or burritos or something, and be out there until the evening or until we catch enough fish to cook dinner. But I figured out I can take all my painting stuff and then I'm not bored, because I used to take books and just read all day outside, which I love as well. But then I figured out I could take all my painting stuff and I could sit out there and plein air paint. So I have a lot of paintings of just like rivers, or not rivers, lakes mostly.
Yeah. So then the other question, I've seen some of the plein air paintings, you're using what looks like an Altoid case.
It totally is.
Yeah. And you're painting like this plant. And so what's that like? I mean, obviously you got a limited palette you can use, and you're working on this little tiny space when you're used to working on, big 26-inch or bigger pieces. How does that interact with what you're doing?
It's actually fun. It's a personal lesson on reducing to the bare minimums. And that's usually, design. It's the lines. It's like 3 basic values. Like you got light, you got medium, you got dark, and then like figuring out an interesting way to do that. And then also figuring out very um, very interesting ways to use your limited palette to get some variation or something. And they're never meant to be anything fancy. They really are studies, but it's fun. I think it's fun, and it's really dependent on how much I'm willing to carry. I have a full setup with like the tripod and everything that I could take with me if I feel like carrying a lot. But the Altoids thing, I literally just put my paint down on the bottom, have a little gessoed canvas taped to the other side, and I just stick it in my pocket, and I'm not carrying anything besides a brush. So it's how much you want to carry it, whatever particular place you're going.
I love that. I saw those and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love the fact. And then, juxtaposition, the fact that you're painting big paintings and then you go to this little study size. Do you ever sell those, or is those?
I haven't. I just have a pile of them.
Because Wes wants to buy every single one of them.
I would definitely buy some.
I know, right?
Yeah.
At one point, my mom she was like on Amazon, and she bought one of those like 40 something packages of Altoids. So I actually don't, they're still in the Altoids container. When I come back, I just leave them and like start a new one because I have so many Altoids tins.
So if you buy the painting, do you get the Altoid case too with the dry paint
tin
inside?
with it? Yeah.
Oh my God. So I could see a shadow box. I mean, that's brilliant. And you should think about selling those, because I think that's an amazing thing. I joke, but here's the thing, and Todd can attest to this. I have a couple big walls, but and I love big paintings, but then I started to discover these small ones, right? And I can hang those all over the place. And I bought a Lorenzo Chavez, and it sits on my mantle. It's a Lorenzo Chavez. And I couldn't afford a big one because he's such a great painter, and he gets paid for his painting, and he should. But I could afford this little one, and it's sitting in my living room on the mantle, and I look at it every day, and I love that painting. And I have another one from a local artist that I have hanging up, and I love these little things that are. I got a haiku at my office behind me, and Todd will know what that is. And I love that. And so I've kind of moved away from the bigger paintings I would, I'll have to come and see you and then convince you of like selling me one. So
if you need any extra cash right now, like he's on hook, line, and sinker right now, Wes Brown.
That's right.
You don't have to try too hard. They're sitting there, man.
All right. I'm coming to Highlands Ranch.
We're here. Most were painted here. I just go walk around the green belts. I could probably walk you to the place where the thing was painted.
That'd be awesome. And then I could take a photograph, and then I could put the photograph with, although the plant would be different or dead or whatever, this time of year. No, I love that idea. I think that's brilliant. And, Michael Unteed, he sells his little, what's he call them again? They're little 5x7s. He's got a name for them.
Shoot.
But I
can't remember what he calls them.
I don't, but anyway, he does a little auction not every year. When he wants, he does a little auction, and a live online auction, and they go for money.
Yeah, I think he starts them at like $100, and then
and they go up from there.
That's been on my list of things to do. Is to have like an auction. Yeah.
Bob Raglan had his shoebox paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Buy one, get one.
Do something like that, because I do have some. I did a show this past summer, which it was the Curtis Center Art on the Green. That was my first like booth type event thing that I did, but it was nice because I'm used to putting a collection of things together and throwing it up on a wall. But then what do you do when like 3 out of the collection sell, and then you have these like 2 little orphans or something? And so currently they go into piles somewhere, and but maybe an auction would be something that's worth doing.
Did you ever listen to Bob Raglan's episode?
I did. Yeah. He was good at that stuff. He was a salesman.
Oh my God. Buy one, get one. So pay off your house. I love that story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Fun trip to Jamaica.
Yeah. Fun trip to Jamaica. And I'm going to bring back a painting and paint 100 paintings, and or whatever it was. I love that. I think that's just like thinking outside as a salesperson outside. How can I make money and make it work? That's beautiful.
Sell art shares. That's what he calls them.
Is that
Art
what it
shares.
was?
Yeah. You sell art shares.
It's amazing. I mean, what a beautiful idea.
I have been surprised. I mean, for me, making art is something that just happens, but it always surprises me when there's supporters out there. And they're just inspired by art and they're willing to do this. And God bless them, like they are amazing. And I have supporters out there and friends that are always behind me. The second I post something, they're the first people to like it and comment, and they just love my work. And usually a lot of my friends, especially like that, I end up giving pieces to, especially, like the ones that I don't ever think are ever going to go into a show or an auction or anything. I was like, I don't even really like this one. And they're like, oh my God, it's my favorite. And I'm like, it's yours, buddy.
Did I tell you at the beginning of the show, like you and I are like best friends now?
Oh, are we? Nice. I think
Going
I have
for
some
that
Altoids.
free
I have
gift.
some Altoids tins right here for my bestie.
That's right. I'm just kidding though. So I love artists, and I love the fact that you're doing those little alto things. I think that's amazing.
It's not original though. So I do feel bad when someone's like, wow, how'd you come up with that idea? Yeah. I'm like, it is not original by any means. So many people are doing this right now, but yeah, it is convenient, and I had some, so why not?
Oh, Tiffany Mang and her little 2x2s, I mean, that was just like, holy crap, that's awesome. Like you sell these little 2-inch by 2-inch. I mean, and they're beautiful. I haven't seen them in person, but I've seen a bunch of them, and they're beautiful, and there's a place for that.
You learn a lot too, doing things that small. There's lessons to be learned.
Oh, for sure. It makes you, like you said, it makes you kind of like focus in on a specific element and a limited palette, and how can I make this work? And then it'll translate to something bigger, Yeah, I love it.
You mentioned books, and you're a reader.
I do like to read.
What kind of books do you read?
Charles Bukowski.
I have read Bukowski. I have. I love me some sci-fi though, man. Something about sci-fi is just close to my heart. Dune. It's getting popular now, but I've read Dune about 3 times since like high school through college.
What do you like about that book? What do you like about Dune?
I don't know. He created a whole world. Frank Herbert was masterpiece. Like he was a master at he created a whole world, and you felt it and you understood it. My only qualm about all of that is that he died before he finished it. Like it was left on a cliffhanger, and then he passed away, and then his son tried to pick it up, and his son was not him. Right. So the story's unfinished, and I don't think it'll ever be finished, because I don't think anyone could make worlds as good as he did. But it was a good one.
Did you see the 1980 version with Sting?
Oh yeah, no, we don't talk about that.
How about the new movie?
They did it justice. Yeah, that one feels right, and I like that they split the first book up, because that one has a lot of. They just had to lay the ground of like they could not fit the whole first book into one movie. They just couldn't. So I appreciated that. But I like them. Oh, my daughter has a crush on Timothée Chalamet, so it works out. She'll watch it with me.
There you go.
Visually, it's stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, cinematically, it's just off the charts as far as I'm concerned. Like
the second one's supposed to come out this year, right? Or
I think
next
so.
Year?
Yeah.
I think it got delayed, but I'm hoping it's coming out. I did see the first one, and I did see the 1980s version that we won't talk about. And so I seen it in the theater when it was released in California.
Nice.
So there you go.
I mean, coming from the desert, maybe I think about that now. Maybe I had a connection to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It hit home a little bit, but who knows?
Yeah.
I was going to guess that you like sci-fi though.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because you're science minded, I mean, it just kind of seems you, for lack of a.
My dad's a sci-fi one, so I grew up watching I watched Next Generation, like every Star Trek, not Star Wars. He wasn't a Star Wars fan, so I didn't watch a lot of Star Wars. But then all those other like B sci-fi movies, I love those. You cannot go wrong. Or Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh my God, that was awesome. A little robot, and that's an amazing show.
Oh, that's funny.
So other than Dune, do you have like an all-time favorite sci-fi movie or a movie in general, or is that it?
I think Dune is the book.
I mean, that's what
Uh,
I meant. I'm sorry, book or
yeah. No, you're good. Uh, there's other books. I guess I fell into a lot of the classics for a long time. I kind of just like the story,
Mhm.
picking up a story, finishing a story.
Yeah.
Audiobooks have been recently because I don't have the patience to sit down and read a book anymore. I don't have the time, I feel like. But like while I'm painting, I can throw on audiobooks and go at it also while driving. So audiobooks have been really nice recently in the past couple of years. But I guess I just kind of consume them. I don't know if I hardly ever even revisit them.
Mm,
Uh, I just go through them.
right. I'm probably the same way with books too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's fun to kind of live that story for a minute and then it wraps up.
The only book that I kind of traditionally reread or revisit is The Power of Myth, but
Okay, yeah, that's a
Joseph
good
Campbell.
one.
But yeah, but anyway, I'm sorry,
I
you were going to
think
say.
no. I'm trying to think of books that I've been sad that they have ended because there's some that I'm just like, wow, that's over, and I can't, like you can't go back and make it unover. But I don't know, I can't think of any. But I've also been getting into a lot of like art and fear. Like I've been reading a lot of art books.
Oh, okay.
Art and Fear is a good one. And that actually inspired a lot of my work just being enough and me being enough. There's a whole statement. I think it's page 69, so it was easy to remember that number. But there was a whole little thing that I highlighted and took it out and I just like reread that over and over again. But it was basically like you are an artist, you are a creative. No one's going to make what you're going to make. You're going to make whatever you want to make. It is you. And that's enough. And that's it. Just make whatever you want to make and it's good enough.
Yeah.
That's your contribution. So that inspired a lot of how I think about what I'm doing.
Tenant wants to acknowledge our media sponsor, New Magazine. That's N-U-E. You can follow both the national and the Denver edition of New Magazine on Instagram. The national edition can be found at new_magazine and the Denver edition at new_Denver_magazine. And I want to share with you something very exciting. Check out the newly launched New Denver Gallery Guide. Look for the signage that says New Denver Gallery Guide that has a QR code, scan it with your phone, and you have instant access to a comprehensive digital guide to Denver's finest galleries and exhibitions. Find this QR code in your favorite gallery, hotel, or coffee shop as you visit and explore Denver. Thanks for listening.
I'm Lyndy Bush, and you're listening to the Tenant Podcast.
Mark Zimmerman told me one time because I bought a big drawing of his pen and ink. And I was like, oh my God, I want to just steal this idea. And I feel weird about it. And he's like, just steal it. Like Picasso said, steal it and make it your own. Like steal it so much that it's your own. And I never even thought of it, because I've always heard, like good artists copy and great artists steal. And I never really understood until like Mark kind of laid a light on that. And I thought that's brilliant. I love that. You steal it so much that it becomes you.
Yeah, that's kind of like making master copies, and that's, I think it was Daniel Sprick maybe said it. I think it might have been him. I don't know. I also love Daniel Sprick. He's like my contemporary idol. That's like, I just want to.
He's a pretty good painter.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
And he also, he's doing that thing where, yes, it's real and it's like, but it's not that hyper realism. He's keeping it loose and he's just making it spot. Like everything he does is perfect, but also loose. And I don't understand it, but it's like magic. But he was saying something to like, he doesn't, it's like, you're going to steal what I do. I dare you. Like this took my whole life, like I could tell you how to do it. You could see every single thing. I'm not hiding anything, but if you're going to do all the work to get to the point where I'm at right now, you deserve it just as much as I do.
Yeah.
It's not just mine. You did all the work. So, yeah. So when you do master copies, you learn something and you can't ever take it as your own, but you did the work, you did the painting, you picked up that piece of knowledge. It's now yours. And ultimately what I know from my experience, even when I try to paint like someone else, it still ends up looking like mine. So
Right.
I guess that's mine.
So what's your feeling on art appropriation?
Well, are you talking about like copying or like a master copy or just in general
No, I'm
taking?
talking about like you're a painter and you incorporate somebody else's art into your art that you're passing, and not saying like you're not forgery, but you're taking their art. Oh, who's that woman photographer that basically she took copies of their art and put like and called it like after Edward Weston, and it was an Edward Weston photograph, but she said after Edward. And part of her story was I couldn't afford to buy it, so I created it for myself. And it was also a pushback on the commercialization of art. But like so I was just kind of like broadly, if you take a painting of a Warhol's and totally steal the whole idea and then write it off as your own, or Basquiat, in the same like painting like Basquiat and passing it off as your and it is your own because you're doing the painting, but
It's all loose. I'm not gonna knock anyone for like the art world is so open these days, like postmodernism and everything just opened up the door so much that anything could go technically. I'm also a purist though, like I'm the type that went back to the old school ways. But I don't knock people for like Warhol would have absolutely enjoyed you stealing his piece of work.
Right.
He would have gotten a thrill out of it that he was dead for how many years and people are still using his mass-produced works. You have to take it with a grain of salt as well, because some people might have hated it and some people might have loved it, and it is a commentary on the mass production of art. I mean, now we have NFTs, now we have anyone could take a picture of a piece of work in a museum, but is it that work now? Or is it a secondary piece? Or is it a commentary on the fact that you could take a picture and now just have I could print it out probably full size in my house, but it's a printout. It's not the original. There's a lot of conversations that can be had. I end up personally just being a purist and loving my own work. I mean, I won't even use reference photos that aren't mine. So my line's a little bit more conservative, but I also don't knock people for doing what they want to do because I can see it. Same with like me being a realist, and there's people are like, oh, so you must hate abstract work. And I'm like, have you ever tried to paint abstract? That shit's hard. That is only the basics. Like you have to be good at design and value and composition and balance, and like you cannot fake it in abstract. So there's value in everything, but I just happen to like to paint things.
And most of the master abstract painters painted, they like had serious skill prior to them going in the abstract, like Rothko or Clifford Still. And like his earlier stuff is amazing too. I mean, he definitely wasn't just painting big giant canvases of solid black with some blue and red in it and called it good. There's something to it, so
it really is. There's all the same principles apply. You just can't even, I feel like in realism, sometimes you can lean back and let the idea of what you're painting take over. You can relax a little bit and say like, well, it's a flower, so everyone's going to see a flower and that petal doesn't have to be in the exact right tilt to make it interesting. But you can't lean on that when you're an abstract painter. It's purely, and you can see it. Anyone can see it. They did this study where everyone always says, well, I could have painted that, or my 2-year-old could have painted that. They actually did a study where they had real abstract master works, and then they had things that kids made that looked very similar visually. The same colors, the same size. There was nothing, it wasn't like one was crayon and one was paint. Like it was very visually similar, and it was like 98% of the time every single person in that study could tell which one was a master painting. And like they say that, but the proof is in the pudding. Like when it looks right, when it looks good. That is not a 2-year-old painting. Right. It's good, and you don't know the words for it. You don't know why it's good, but it is.
Yeah. Because you've listened to our podcast, I was like railed against abstract art and, and love, John Singer Sargent and all that. But now ultra realistic paintings. And I've seen people that can draw and they'll spend 40 hours on a little thing and they're drawing it and it looks like a photograph. That bores me. Like now, after doing this for 4 years, that bores me. I want to see something. I want to see a Rothko. I want to see a Jackson Pollock. I want to see something that is so unusual that it pushes me because, Todd and I doing this together, I've learned a lot and now appreciate what goes into that. And that excites me. So seeing stuff that's loose and, I really enjoy that. I still love John Singer Sargent. I just like drool over his paintings when I see him.
But Sargent was very abstract.
Oh, he was on
close.
The edges, especially.
Yeah. Like you get up to a Sargent and it's abstract. It's just like, but he wasn't quick either. Like it wasn't like a pop. Like it was like he spent 30 minutes thinking about one brush stroke and then did it and it worked.
Right.
But it was one brush stroke and it wasn't, he didn't go into detail. It was just right. I appreciate that about Sargent. And that's what I enjoy. But yeah, I started backsliding. I wish I could say that I actually went to fruition with being a realist artist. I didn't, because I got so bored that I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to push it any further. I could. I didn't get as good as I could have been, but I got bored and I didn't want to do it. So I started backsliding.
And I'm not trying to like get people that are into super realistic stuff. I mean, obviously the talent and the scale is off the charts, right? I mean, if you can do that, you can do anything probably. I just like, I've been doing this for so long now that it doesn't really interest me, like abstract does. Abstraction does.
It's hard for me to put on like my art appreciator hat versus an artist hat, because for me I see it and I'm like, yeah, damn, that took some skill, buddy. Good job. I want to congratulate you. Won. I would never do that personally.
Right.
Good job. Walk away.
Yeah.
That took too much time for me. But it takes dedication and probably just way too much attention to one thing for a long amount of time that I have in me. So
right. Todd, how do you feel about it? Have you, although you've been far more open about abstract art from the very beginning, I think you and I came from two different directions, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that do abstract art and we've had this discussion a million times, mostly off air, but it's very difficult to do it well, just like Lyndy said. And, and there's so much terrible abstract art. I mean, there is. I'm just,
there's a lot of terrible realist art too, though. I mean, there's a lot of flowers out there that are just chilling.
I just think that people think that, like Lyndy's skill set, like that takes a lot of work to make it look realistic, but also have this style and this feel to it, and then incorporate some abstract into it, like some of the pieces that we've talked about tonight. I think people, they want to be an abstract artist and they think that's the easiest way to go, but I actually think it's one of the most difficult things to pull off and do it well. And, we've had discussions in galleries, you and I, where we're like, didn't really hit the mark there,
Right.
And it's not a slight against the people that are doing it per se. They're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And you got to really work hard, just like you have to do in any type of art.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. And it comes down to composition and design, like Lyndy was talking about. And you better have your poop in a group if that's where you're going.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition, like you said. I mean, that's the thing is, I feel like it's a good time for me because I go into a gallery or if I get accepted into a show, there's a lot of abstract work and there's very few people now doing realism similar to myself. So it's not hard to stand out in a sense. I think the show that I saw you at last week, that's one of the few shows I've seen in the Denver area displaying realism. I'm used to seeing abstract everywhere, and then me over there making, realist works. Or the Governor's Art Show is another one where I saw some really good things. And then plein air, there's a lot of plein air here, but that's a very specific genre of landscapes and whatnot. So you can't stand out much whenever everyone's doing abstract. You have to be so good that you're above all of those people. And that's a bit of an arrogant place to be in when you're learning and you think you're going to outshine someone that's been making abstract work for 25, 30 years.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that show that we were just at,
It was
Naturalism. Good. And I'm actually kind of disappointed that I didn't you were in the process of going to another show, and you kind of said hello as you were ready to leave with your daughter. But it would have been nice to walk around Gallery 1261 with you and kind of take it in. And have those kind of conversations. I know you're really taken with Stephanie Hartshorn's work.
Oh my gosh. Love that work. I felt like it was New Mexico before she said it. And I was like, this feels like home. I was like, where is this from? And she was hesitant to tell me because everyone asks her that. And she doesn't want to tell them because, I do the same thing a lot with my work. It's like, where is this from? And I'm like, well, it's open-ended. It could be anywhere you think it is because it's a feeling. But I was like, it's New Mexico, is it? She's like, it is. And I'm like, yeah, that's home for me.
I was really taken, and I like Stephanie's work a lot. In fact, we've talked about getting her on the podcast, and we will at some point. But I can't think of I should probably pull up Gallery 1261's website, and I could tell you. But did you see the watercolor work that was there?
Did. It was closer to the back by the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Again, I'm always in awe of watercolors. There's something about it that it's you have to be okay with the way things are going to come out, and to lay down a block of like a shape with some color and let the watercolor do its thing. And to me, I'm just in awe of people that can do that.
I thought it was really Andy Evanson.
Yeah,
is the gentleman's name. Some of the best watercolor I think I've ever seen. Like, it was so like spectacular.
It really
I
was
in awe. And usually that's not my thing, but his watercolors were just off the charts.
When people do watercolor right, man, it's good. It makes me want to learn, and I've tried over the years off and on. I've tried because I'm like, if I could do watercolor, that would be awesome, and I just can't. And so I just have to sit and admire what other people can do with it, because some people can do really cool stuff.
So what do you consider your greatest achievement?
Just in general, in life.
Yeah, we'll go that route. We can go any route you want.
You can define it however you want.
Yep.
Cool. I'm proud of where I've come. It takes a lot to build yourself up. First generation college student. I went to college, got out of the state, pursuing art as well as a full-time career, as well as being a mother. I think overall, I think I'm proud about doing all of it to a degree. Maybe sometimes I fail a little bit of everything because I'm trying to do too much. But I'm proud that I'm pursuing all those aspects at once. And I sometimes feel, well, I guess I always feel blessed, but sometimes I'm just glad that I have all of it. It's almost like I got not more than I deserve. That sounds horrible, but I can't think of the words to put it. But it's a lot, and I'm happy to have it all.
How are you able to balance all that? Because I'm always in awe.
A lot of caffeine. No, and some things have to give. I mean, is my house clean all the time? Absolutely not, man. That is not a goal or a priority of mine, and that's what I am willing to let go. Luckily, I have a partner and kids that are just like, they don't care either. So it needs to be tidy-ish, but like my kitchen is my work from home office. I have a whole desk set up, and then I literally turn around in my kitchen. I have a 6-foot easel where I paint, and my kitchen table is where I have all my paints and everything constantly out. And then, you know, my actual freezer is where I stick my paint. So, like, my kitchen is my studio, and I cook dinner for my kids there, and I work there from home 3 days out of the week. And I just make do where I can and fit it all in where I can. But yeah, I prioritize things, and definitely a clean house is not one of those.
I love it. That's awesome. You have mentioned a handful of artists. Anybody else that you'd mention that is a favorite of yours?
Favorite of mine. I mean, let's see. I mean, I love Dan. He's amazing. I do have I have some really good friends. Well, I'm part of the Women's Caucus for Art Colorado. I'm on the board there. So but like Annette Coleman she's been a mentor of mine, and she's just an amazing artist, and she's been in the Denver art scene for some time, and she's a heavy hitter. Same as Jean Smith. She's a ceramicist. Love Jean. She's a good person in general, but an amazing artist as well. And then I don't know, I could start listing all my friends, but I probably should list other artists as well. Let's see, that I admire. Jane Hunt, she's a local Colorado artist. She's pretty awesome with what she does with color. She does a lot of plein air work. I don't know, drawing blanks. I wish I would have met Stevon Lucero. I wanted to, and then I just don't think he was in good health by that time. Whenever I think I listened to your podcast, it was the first time I met him, but he reminds me of my mom because my mom has a lot of stories. She tells stories like that a lot, and she also has that kind of like medium vibe where she's always doing weird things with the universe. But so he reminded me of my mother a lot. That's kind of where I come from. That's my background, of a little bit of that weird esoteric stuff is just kind of where I'm always at. And then I went the weird, like, sciencey, like I was the kid that like rejected all of that mystical stuff and went into science, and it all plays into each other, though. I can't deny either side.
Stefan would have really appreciated you, just so you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we were like brothers from another mother, but we did actually, have a connection. I had the opportunity to spend some time with him, and he would have appreciated, you would have had a great conversation about mixing and glazes and all the nuance of painting and the masters. He would have loved to have that conversation with you. I can say that.
Yeah, he was awesome. I could have talked to him for hours, and I'm sure he would have talked to me for hours. I'm a talker. I keep going. So
And we did talk to him for hours, didn't we, Todd?
Yeah, Wes was almost asleep by the time I rolled him out of there.
Not asleep, passed out. Like I was going into I hadn't eaten.
Coma. Yeah, food coma.
That's right.
Lack of food coma.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on the Women's Caucus. You're part of that organization. Are you part of any other professional art organizations?
I'm also a member at CHAC. And just coming from my background in the Borderlands, it's weird because, I come from southern New Mexico, where I was probably always the whitest person in the room. I came up here and I was like, even like on Zoom meetings, and I was like, oh, I'm actually like, have some color, but I always, I just resonate. That is my culture, despite being predominantly white from down there. It's hard for me to claim still. I don't claim to be Hispanic myself. That just feels weird to do. But, I love that is still my roots in that sense. That's where I'm from. I guess we kind of touched on that earlier. Like, I'm not going to say that's what I am, but, that's where I'm from, and I connect with. We actually have I'm helping curate a show between CHAC and the Caucus coming up soon, and it's open to anyone if they want to apply, but it's reflections of culture. So that'll be at the Brighton Armory next year. I think the call ends in January, and it's basically we just wanted to open it up to women in general, and we wanted to open up to anyone in any culture, and we wanted them to talk about how their culture reflects on their artwork, because I think it how could it not, right? Like any direction you came from, whatever culture you come from, that story reflects on your artwork. And so I really wanted people from diverse perspectives to kind of give artwork that talks about that along with statements, so that we could all learn a little bit more about each other and our different cultural backgrounds and how that influences our artwork. So that's going to be cool to see. I'm excited about that one.
I love that. That sounds really interesting. You'll have to remind me as that show nears so that we can push some stuff out on social media. And
Cool.
I definitely would like to see that in person.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll forward some Instagram posts your way with all the information.
I did not realize that you were a member of CHAC.
I am.
That's very cool. I have.
It all started with Stefan Lucero. Well, because I ended up talking. His wife's name. It's
Arlette.
Yes. So I connected with Arlette for potentially seeing some of Stefan's work, because I wanted to purchase a piece of his work. And then from that, we started talking, and this whole conversation she actually had with me, because I was like, I don't know if I belong, like I'm white, I can't claim that side of me. And she's like, no, we're open to anyone, especially if you resonate, at all, like you should be part of it. So that's how I joined.
Yeah, that's spectacular. That's so cool. I have a lot of friends that are involved with CHAC, and
Nice.
I didn't know that you were in that
I
orbit there.
I need to get more involved.
I find it interesting that in today's society, like if, everybody's embracing their minority culture, that you have a hard time, because it is a part of you.
I have feelings about that.
Do you want to share those, or is this a pass?
No. I have feelings about that because I directly understand what privilege I have for looking white. I've gotten a lot of privilege from that, even in my background or just growing up in my friend, like there's privilege in that, even if you have a little sliver of minority past. But it's just become kind of a fad these days to embrace that, to reap benefits from it, which feels so wrong to me. Like, let them have their time. Why do you have to take your sliver of that?
Interesting.
So I personally refuse to claim that for those reasons. I mean, I don't know. I have feelings.
Yeah. No, that's good. I just find it interesting that you struggle so hard with it, but it leaves a little bit of light onto it.
Yeah. I think it's opposite, and it's out of respect for why do you have to take your sliver of everything?
Right.
But
talk about what being a part of a professional artist organization has done for you, like the Women's Caucus.
I guess similar to what we've talked about earlier, is I am around non-artists most of my life. And I didn't even realize how influential it would be to be around so many artists in a connected group. It really is, because you don't realize that the things you're going through and the things you're thinking all the time, and you really get down on yourself, or you get in a rut, or you're making things and you have these very abstract problems that normal people don't like. Oh my God, I can't paint. I haven't painted for 2 weeks. Like, why is that a problem? But to an artist, like, that's an issue. Something's wrong, and maybe it's a symptom of being too stressed out, or it's a symptom of having to reorganize your priorities, but being around other artists and understanding that side of other artists more makes you feel less alone and makes you feel more validated in your journey as an artist. And it's worth it. It's worth it, because having those conversations with real people and knowing that you're not crazy and you're not just spiraling down in a weird circle. It helps. And then also the Women's Caucus for me was very influential, because being a mom, trying to work, trying to be an artist, and I mean, the art world is still not that great for women. I know it just isn't. Most, yeah, you see a lot more success if you take your first name off of work and never show up to the show, because they think you might be a dude. And the second time when they realize you're not, I don't know, it's just weird. But Amy Lemus, she's one of my good friends. We're actually, I think she just invited me to show at her opening that she's going to be having in February, so I'll have some work with her soon too. But this is her gig, man. She'll talk to you all day about women in the art world. But I agree with her. It's 100% true. But being around other women who are doing this and raising families and making art and struggling with not being seen all the time, like it's empowering. You learn a lot, and it's kind of cool too to have mentors like that's like Annette and Carrie McKenna, Annette Coleman. Like, these ladies took me under their wing, and they're just like, yeah, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. And they're your cheerleaders as well. So it's important. To me, it has been.
Right on. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to debut a new thing on the Tenant podcast this evening. Did you see Wes's eyes there? Like, get wide-eyed?
It's not because he's excited to share. He's excited to, like, what's new? What didn't Todd talk to me about? All right. Let's hear it.
So Wes, you need to put, first of all, I guess I should ask, are you game for this? We're going to ask, this is called the Tenant 20.
Okay.
It's 20 random questions with an artist. Are you up for it, Lyndy?
Sure.
I'm
up for it. Do I have? I'm not.
Well,
of course,
you're up for it, because
he wasn't asking you.
Lyndy is the one that is the one that has to answer them.
So
these are straightforward
random
questions.
Huh?
They're random questions. I just rolled out 20 random questions.
Did you use ChatGTP?
No, I'm not going to use some bullshit AI shit.
Oh, feelings came out.
Very much against the AI thing.
Oh, come on. Just embrace it. It's the future. Anyway, go ahead.
Brian May came out this week from Queen, said that this is the last year that you will be able to tell whether or not a song is actually written by a real person or not. That AI is going to change the landscape of music from here on out. Like, this is the year, he says.
Yeah.
And I believe him.
So has he got some new material coming out this year, or are we done with Queen? I mean, now we'll never know.
I don't think he cares at this juncture of the game.
Okay.
He's accomplished all he needed to accomplish, but he just thinks that it's going to get weirder from here.
Probably.
Anyway, these are not AI questions. Lyndy, you're up for this?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. These are straightforward questions. It's, you don't have to elaborate. We're just going to roll through them. I need you, Wes, to be the timekeeper. Can you put 2 minutes on your phone?
Yeah.
As a timer?
Hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on. Let me get to it. I got to get to it. What's the timer look like? No, I'm just kidding. I know what it looks like.
Don't make me drive 6.5 hours to show you how to use your phone.
She's got 2 hours to answer these. No, 2 minutes. Okay. Let me know when you're ready to start.
Sure.
Are you ready, Lyndy?
I guess so. I'll try to be as short-winded as possible.
Okay. Here we go. Wine or beer?
Wine, 100%.
Country or heavy metal?
Country.
I know what this one's going to be. Frida Kahlo or Georgia O'Keeffe?
Oh, that's hard, but I have to go with Georgia. Frida Kahlo is amazing, though.
Cruise or road trip?
What, first one?
A cruise or road trip?
Road trip.
Driving.
Road trip.
Hotel or camping?
Camping.
Ocean or mountains?
Ocean. Which is weird coming from a desert kid.
Yeah, that surprises me. Money or experience?
Experience.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset golden hour.
Eating out in a restaurant or cooking a meal in your own home?
Cooking because I'm picky.
Painting in the studio or on location? Plein air.
On location.
Shoes or barefoot?
Barefoot. Anyone who knows me, it's a problem.
Staying up late and sleeping in or going to bed early and getting up early?
Staying up late.
Coffee or tea?
It's a transition. Coffee first, and then you roll into tea in the afternoon.
I think we already know this one, but favorite book?
Dune.
New Mexico or Colorado?
New Mexico. Duh.
Time travel, if you can, past or future?
I mean, future. I'm a woman. Come on.
Favorite accessory?
Earrings.
That's it.
Truck or sports car?
Truck. I think we're done though.
We're done. That's 2 minutes.
We are. Very good.
Did
You
we get through
answered
20?
everyone except for 2.
Oh, nice. 18.
Got 18 in.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Cool.
And
Thank
I
you
didn't
for-
interject. I mean, facial expressions, maybe.
And
Got
some of
some
those were
nods.
surprising, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that she was going to roll one way and she rolled the other way. So, especially oceans over mountains. So,
Yeah. That one surprised me.
Yeah, the mountains are a little weird. I feel stuck sometimes. Like, how do you
Oh.
get? Oh, I don't know. The ocean's just pretty.
Yeah. I love the
have you
ocean
spent
too.
much time at the ocean?
No, maybe that's why I like it so much.
Gotcha.
Something feels so like connected to humanity. Like every time you see the ocean, like something, you feel something.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean scares me.
Yeah,
Like,
but
if
it
you've ever-
feels like, yeah, it just feels human though to be around it.
Now, are you a water baby? Do you love swimming and that sort of thing?
No.
Are you a swimmer? Okay. Then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mountains seem cold to me, and I'm not a fan of the cold.
Ah, there you go.
Oh,
Okay.
There
we
you go.
I could see that.
Usually oceans seem warm. Usually. I know
Usually.
that there's exceptions to that.
Unless you're in Maine.
We almost moved to Maine.
Did you
I'm
really?
so glad
Oh,
we
wow.
didn't. To Bar Harbor.
Oh, wow.
That would have been an interesting experience, though.
It would have. Miserable, but interesting, yes.
Miserable because of the cold,
The cold, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's beautiful there.
and you would have been near the ocean.
Cold ocean.
So I want to delve a little bit, we don't have to go too much into Frida Kahlo. So what about her intrigues you?
Well, she was a rebel, one. She was
Yeah.
a huge rebel. She's also very autobiographical. So though her style, I don't resonate fully with her style of painting, I resonate with why she was painting. That very much also influences how I paint. So she was painting herself and her journey and all about herself. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing it through other objects and
Sure.
not a self-portrait. You could argue that everything I paint is a self-portrait, though I don't paint any people. So
I think that's true with most people. I think that
Mhm.
I think it's just natural because it's coming from you. So it is somewhat autobiographical, but yeah.
But she was a hellion, man. I appreciate how she lived her life and what she did.
Okay. I'm not a big Frida fan, and I don't understand. Like, they freak out over her. She's like, and I don't get that, but that's
I think
all right.
she had such a unique style and a unique message and just image of herself that it came to a cult following almost, and people can understand it, people can recognize it, people can see it, and I think in the art world, everyone, like, that's why everyone knows Picasso, and that's the first artist that they say when they think about art. Like, okay, name 5 other artists.
Mhm.
when someone says that they love Picasso. That's what I want them to do. Name 5 other artists. And if they can, then I'll contemplate that they actually like Picasso.
And then I want to ask about Georgia O'Keeffe. Couple things. Do you like her flower work, or do you like her Southwest stuff better, or both the same, or where do you lean?
It's hard for me too on her, because you know what? I don't know if I necessarily enjoy her work the most. There's a couple pieces that I resonate with significantly, but I love what she was doing. And I might not resonate particularly with her work, but the way she lived her life and the way she created her work, because it was a piece of her. And that doesn't have to be a piece of me or something that I love, but the fact that she was doing that is what resonates with me.
And do you think her flower work is sexual? That it was meant to be sexual?
She absolutely despised that narrative. And
it's amazing. It still continues today. Like there's this whole movement of people that I've heard talk about a lesbian relationship between Frida and Georgia, and that Frida was in love with her. And then there's this whole like lesbian aspect of Georgia.
Honestly, between the two of them, it probably could have happened one drunk night.
Right.
I'm just saying, between the two of them, it's a possibility, but why is that the narrative?
Yeah, I don't either.
That's what both of them fought against their entire careers. Right. Why is that what people are still talking about, rather than the fact that they brought themselves, well, they didn't completely bring themselves up. Both of them had a very influential husband/lover. But, you know, they made careers and names for themselves. Yeah. But so why, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a thing that
well, I think it's easy to look at it and see that and make, and I think that is more autobiography of the viewer than it is of the painter. Like, you sexualize it, then it's probably because you sexualize it, not because you think she did. But I mean, I've read articles. Well, yeah, I've read articles and then heard comments about that, and I'm like, I don't think that's true, but okay.
I think she absolutely hated that narrative.
Yeah.
And for her in particular, in the history of what had happened with Stieglitz right before that. I mean, I understand why everyone thought that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was her MO at that point in time.
Yeah. So those are my 2 like follow-up questions. We can move from there. But anyway, thanks for sharing those.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. One last question, then I'm going to be done. Then
that's it. You're done. You're
well.
I
don't know. I just thought you were trying to wrap it up, so I didn't want to, But I want to talk about podcasts, because you said you and I are connoisseurs of podcasts. We listen to a lot of podcasts. Mm-hmm. So, what's a couple of your favorites besides ours, obviously?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So first of all,
did you hear her go?
No. Well, no, I love yours. I think we've already completely settled that yours the first one that, like, if another one pops up, I'm like, I got it, like an hour and a half to 2 hours of enjoyment right there. But I also love Art Holes, and I was telling Todd about this. Art Holes is amazing. It's a dude, he's a comedian that decided he knew nothing about art, and then just decided to like deep dive into art history and make these. I don't know. Do you remember Hardcore History? Or yeah. He basically did Hardcore History, but art history version.
Oh, wow.
And doesn't that sound fascinating?
It does. Almost sounds like
great.
Ours.
He does Frida Kahlo. You should listen to that one.
I will.
You learn more about her and kind of respect her, maybe for who she is, rather than just her artwork and why her artwork was the way it was. But he does Jackson Pollock, he does Picasso, he does Caravaggio. He just deep dives, and you learn way more about these artists' lives than you ever thought you were going to learn. It's great. He hasn't come out with one in a while, and I still can't remember the dude he's doing it now, even though I forwarded it to you. It supposedly he's in the editing phase. It's been like a year and a half since the last one came out. So
dude,
I'm waiting, man. And then let's see, behind beyond that, there's the good old favorites, This American Life. I loved This American Life since it was on just like NPR before podcasts were a thing. Like I would just sit in my car and like wait for it to end before I would go inside. That was definitely a thing. I wish, what was it called? Prairie Home Companion.
I
wish they had Prairie Home Companion, but of course he retired. He was an old school.
Did you see the remake
dude.
of it though with the guy from? Oh,
is it worth it?
Yeah, I think the music is far better.
Okay.
Because it's got the guy from I can't remember, the bluegrass player.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I think it holds up. I mean, it's not Garrison Keillor, but but it still holds up.
He was.
And I don't know if they're still doing it. I think they might even be done. But I thought he did a pretty good job.
Probably. A couple others. I think Hidden Brain. Have you heard about Hidden Brain?
Oh yeah.
Love Hidden Brain.
Jeanette and I listen to that when we go to Denver. Like that's like she loves that, and I don't really listen to it unless we're going somewhere together. Then we listen to it. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Then you can spiral down into all the true crime ones. That's a whole genre that you can just spiral down any day.
Yeah.
Those are fun. But yeah, those are some of my favorites that I always. Art Juice is fun. Or just art.
Good God, I've never heard of that one either.
Art Juice, I think it's like one of the top rated art ones around. They're British. No, I don't even know where they're from. They have accents. I should know. I don't know my English accents.
Oh, that's right. Nobody else does either.
I don't know what region they're from. I'm pretty sure like they could tell you right away just by listening to them, but I don't know. But it's just these two artists, and I know a lot of artists have done this podcast, but I just like the way that they approach it. I don't like. I was telling Todd this. I don't like pretentious art talk. Pretentious art talk gets under my skin very quickly, but they don't. And they're both professional artists, and they run these whole groups, and they have a huge following. But they just talk about like why they make art, what they're feeling like that week, and why they're feeling that way, and what they're going to do about it. And it's a good one. So
nice, great.
That's about
I love that. I'm always looking for a new one to. Because I sometimes get stuck in what I'm currently listening to. So it's nice. I'm definitely going to check out Art Holes. That sounds interesting.
That's a good one. It's a good one. You're going to, because it's like a rabbit hole, but it's an art hole. That's the name. And you'll fall into it. Don't worry. Nice. It's a good one. Caravaggio. I learned so much that I had no clue about on Caravaggio. I mean, I was laughing, and I know laughing out loud is a thing, but like I was literally laughing to myself while listening to the Caravaggio one, and my family thought I was crazy.
That's awesome. I love that. No, I'm going to check that out tomorrow. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Todd?
Well, we are going to start wrapping this up, but I can't leave off without doing Bob Ragland justice and asking some business style questions. How do you go about pricing your work?
Yeah. So I work in spreadsheets. So this is what I do. But I didn't like the square inch process because whenever you get big, it increases exponentially. Like as you go out both ways and you times it like square inch. So what I do is actually it's a linear inch model. So it as you scale up, it slowly gets more expensive rather than getting ridiculously more expensive just by adding a couple inches to the sides. So I take the length plus the width and then times that by a set number. And so I have my little pricing strategy, and then like I have a spreadsheet that tells me all the different breakdowns for the different gallery commissions and whatnot. So I have all the math figured out on a single spreadsheet, and it goes down with all the different sizes. And if I happen to paint a weird size that I haven't used before, I literally just create another line, copy and paste, and put the dimensions, and it feeds out all the prices and whatnot. So I took that off of my mind. I didn't want to have to think about, how much did I think this was worth? So it's all set. And then at certain points, business wise, if things are selling too quickly, that means your prices are probably too low. So, as the years go by, that number that I I times everything by just has to be adjusted, and then all of my pricing structures will adjust accordingly. So
Nice.
Love that.
Little math wizard.
yeah, a little bit of math.
So what does an original of your work start at, and what does it go up to?
I guess that depends by the size. I'd have to look it up, honestly. But I know for sure my 16 by 20 is a size that I was using a lot, and then I've been going a little bit higher recently. But my 16 by 20 is about 1080 gallery prices, so that's before commissions. So that I would probably bring home about 500-ish for a 16 by 20 at a 50% commission.
Is that pretty standard from where you're at? 50%, or is it? Are you seeing it higher?
Some galleries are like at 40. Some, I've seen some at 30, but that's getting more and more rare. I'm seeing more 40, 50 is normal now.
And how do you market yourself?
I could do better, but I have my Instagram, I have word of mouth, I have a lot of friends. I am part of shows and groups, and I get the word out there. I'm pretty bad at being a salesperson, again, because I'm really doing this. I'm doing this just because I want to paint. But you'd be surprised how much just seeing an artist or being friends, people come back, and it's word of mouth, and people talk, and you go and meet other artists, and you're part of shows, and you meet all the people that come there. Been in a few shows in Santa Fe, and First Fridays on Santa Fe are nuts. The Santa Fe Art District, I've just talked to like thousands of people, it feels like, in one night, and it's good. I probably could do better, but it's been a close-knit group of followers so far, and I appreciate that. I'd rather have good people that are following me and interested in my work than having a whole like Instagram mass group of people that like me because I do little dances or something. So we're going with it.
We're nearing the new year.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking forward to in the new year?
In the new year, I want to be able to paint a little bit more. But I'm gonna need to paint a little bit more because I have a show coming up in April. So I have a solo show scheduled for Art Social in April, where I'm hoping to bring together all of my flowers. I have a few currently in process, and then I have a few that I need to start, and I want that to be a nice cohesive show in that gallery, and it's a great little space. So bringing together that show, getting it together by April will be my first goal. And then I also have a show with Amy Lemus in February. I'll know a little bit more about that soon. I just got invited, so I'm excited about that.
So how do you think having a show with her is going to influence what you're going to paint? Because she's got a very distinct style and message.
Yeah. Which I'm down for her message. We've actually tried to collaborate before, but both of us are just crazy busy on different fronts. She's also a mother, grinding and doing the whole art thing, and she's incredibly prolific with what she does do.
Right.
So but she started sketching, and then I would go back and paint, and then take it back to her, and she was adding texture and stuff. And so we did a couple of collabs like that, but never fully finished them off. I think what she's doing, though, is really highlighting it. We speak to each other in a sense, because what she's doing is highlighting the personal journeys and stories of women. And that's just what I'm doing, but for myself. So it kind of, though the styles are completely separate, I think we do have a very similar message of empowerment and just being yourself. So
yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. It'll be fun. And she has a whole new line of work with like these kinetic things happening, and I want to see him in person. I've only seen him on Instagram, so it's going to be fun.
She always goes all out.
Yeah,
the last two exhibitions that I've seen of hers, spectacular.
Yeah,
and prolific. Like I can't even imagine what she will bring this year, because you're like, good God, you created all this and since the last time. Like,
yeah.
It's enough for like 3 shows, for some people. So it's crazy.
I love Amy too. She's amazing.
She's a firecracker.
Yeah, I love her.
That's a good description of Amy.
Yeah,
Firecracker.
I'm drawn to her. I'm busy, I'm doing a lot of stuff and a lot of fronts. So she also is. So I think we understand each other in that sense. Like I could see a lot of people getting offended because I'm not going to go hang out all the time, like I very specifically choose what I'm doing when I'm doing it. That's the only way this works. And she's very similar. So me and her could just like go 6 months without even saying hi and be like, what are you doing tomorrow night? And we're down with it. And it
Nice.
works.
It's nice to have friendships like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said that you want to paint more in the next year.
That's
Are you-
always the goal. That goal never goes away.
Do you make resolutions at the new year?
I did 2 years ago and I actually stuck to them and it was
Nice.
great. And this year I did not do the goal setting process. I still probably met some goals that I would have set though, so that was good. But I really do enjoy setting the goals because you have something to work towards. So I might do it this year, even if they're loose goals.
Anything that you want to share off the top of your head?
Well, I already have a solo show, so that was one of my goals a couple years ago. But I would love to get a newsletter out there to everyone. And I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I even have a list, and I need to get that out, and I need to get it done. I would love to probably promote better using that newsletter and doing what I know I need to do, but I'm not currently doing. And then probably updating my website, doing all the stuff that us artists really despise doing. I've never met an artist that is like, oh my God, I'm so happy to update my website with all the new paintings I've done.
Right.
I don't know. But those types of things, just, getting myself to a different level professionally. Like it's there. It's just also upkeep. So doing it.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Maybe starting a new website, honestly. It's an old format.
Still holds together though, just so you know.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. My final question. Wes, do you have one more questions?
Nope, that's it. I did my 2.
So I haven't asked this in a little bit, but do you have a mantra or a motto that you live by?
I don't have it in few words, but I mean, you just keep grinding away at something. Eventually something's going to happen. It's just perseverance mainly. Keep going. And also follow what's in your heart. I've always done that, and it hasn't led me astray yet.
Fantastic. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed spending time with you and looking at your work with you. I love it. I think it's spectacular, and I am really excited to see where you're going from here. I'll be excited to see the solo show. I'll be excited to see the work that you present with your friend Amy, and this other show that you're going to curate.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
So keep us in the loop when all that is happening, and let me know the details, and I'll definitely make sure it gets pushed out on our social media.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This is great. I love you guys.
Oh, thanks.
This has been a fun conversation.
Great. That's awesome to hear. Obviously we love you, and I love your work, and I can't wait to see one of your Altoid cans. I'm looking forward to that.
Sounds good. Send me your address, Wes.
Okay. Sounds good. No, it's been a blast, and I love conversations like this. So
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. It
Yeah.
means a lot. I love you guys, and I love this podcast, so it does.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lyndy. Remember to follow Lyndy on Instagram at LyndyBush_art and check out her work at her website, lindybush.com. I will have all this and more in this week's episode notes. For the Tenant Podcast, I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
Have a great week.